for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. I-N-D-Y.
The Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. It feels like everybody went home happy last night from the Colts practice. An insane ending in the Reds game last night. Did I get a ding right out of the gate?
Because you called it Friday,
Yeah,
which is
well,
the
it
correct
was a
day
good
today.
ding.
Hey, you know what? Honest to goodness, this is the first day I don't feel like I'm in a different time zone.
This is good.
This caught up. I finally caught up. My body woke up when I'm supposed to wake up this morning. I did everything except remember my wallet, and Kevin had to let me in the building. So
Kevin?
I got that going on. So you can give me a buzzer for that.
I got a call about 6:51. Hey, buddy, you in the building yet? And I was thinking, if you think I'm responsible enough to be there 10 minutes early, that is not the case. I'll be there 3 minutes early. But we made it. We're all here. And honestly, after a cool night for the Colts, I thought, Kevin.
I was going to say, when I saw James Boyd still at the local hotel in Westfield that we work out of at about whatever time I left, 11:45, I knew full well that you probably weren't getting here until about 6:58. So I walked in about 6:55, and you were a few minutes after that. But yes, no, it was I thought a really entertaining night. Cool idea by Shane Steichen, well executed by the Colts. All practices should have just constant 11-on-11 work. I get that's probably a little bit lofty, but yeah, looking forward to recapping it all this morning.
You talked about Shane Steichen. He essentially said, I wanted to capture that Friday Night Lights feeling that we all had when we were in high school. Did he do that?
Yeah, and I would say, honestly, more than like the nostalgia of that, it was just the pace to which that practice had. James, there was no downtime. I would say the only lulls, you were like having a kicking competition. I guess there was a little bit of a kick return, punt return rep there, but I cannot recall in my, I guess this is my 15th training camp, that high-end 11-on-11 within an actual practice. Sure, you get joint sessions that, involve different intensity, and I think arguably it's better evaluation because it's not someone you're used to seeing, but for those that went last night, you got your bang for your $5 buck. I thought it was a great atmosphere, and I thought a really entertaining practice.
So all in all, I'm just wondering if psychologically, when those lights do come on at night, there's almost in the back of everybody's mind, things are a little different. It's a little crisper. There's something special. We don't do this all the time. We always talk about, can you perform under the lights? Maybe everybody just raises their game just a little bit. And also knowing that it's 11-on-11 and situations and you're being evaluated, all those things. James, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was certainly a lot of scenarios that they were able to work through, a lot of big moments. We had probably the play of camp, Kevin Bowen, when we saw Tyler Warren over the middle make that incredible catch from Daniel Jones. Not the best pass, but it was certainly the best catch. And I believe Coach Rick Venturi, said some words that we can't say on air in approval of that play. So I thought that, beyond the lights, it was certainly cool to be out there in that setting. But I think to Kevin's point, a lot of it just had to do with it's us versus you, for most of the practice. And you don't get that all the time, especially in football when it's so separated. There's so much individual periods and, things of that nature. But I thought last night felt about as close as you can get to a game without getting to a game. And obviously they'll have, that next step, the joint practice next week, and then that next step, which is the preseason opener.
So it feels like the passing game took a big step last night. But how much of that, Kevin, was the guys are getting better and they're focused in and nice throws by Anthony Richardson and nice job by Daniel Jones? And how much of it was going against a little bit of a depleted cornerback position?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's context to every day of training camp, and I think it's important to mention that if Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones were down 3 of their top 5 starting wideouts, you would probably want to know that. And so, yeah, last night you were without 3 of your top 5 corners. I guess if you want to go to the whole defense, you were missing probably the best player at every level. DeForest Buckner up front, Zaire Franklin in the middle, still remains out. And then, again, Travarius Ward was resting last night. Having said that, there's been times where Richardson and Jones, but, stick with Richardson because there's more history that we've watched with him. He has not, feasted or had the amount of big plays that he did last night. So I guess just kind of summarize the 3 practices here in full pads this week. I think the quarterback arrow is in a much better direction than it was certainly exiting last week. I think the eye doctor analogy that I said yesterday still applies. We'll have some Shane Steichen audio that we can play a little bit later on that. But, yeah, it was easily the most chunk play night of camp, James. I thought Daniel Jones had his longest attempt and completion as well. I thought a really good night for A.D. Mitchell. And honestly, a good night for the Colts that have a lot of pressure on them. And it's a list that doesn't just include these guys, but in some way, shape, or form, the list of Colts that have pressure on them includes Richardson, Jones, Latu, A.D. Mitchell, Kwity Paye. And when you say those 5 names, I walk away from last night being like, wow, all 5 of them really had some pretty good nights. There are others that definitely had good nights. Josh Downs, James points out the Tyler Warren highlight. That would be a SportsCenter top 10 play easily. Ashton Dulin, we can go on and on. But again, guys with a lot of pressure on them for the most heightened practice yet of camp. And in some guys' cases, we haven't said their names yet. For them to, I think, kind of rise to the occasion, certainly a positive development.
You bring up a name there, and I wanted to ask both you guys about this. I'll ask you first, James, and then you jump in on it, Kevin. Over the couple of years that he's been around, every time he's been asked to kind of step up, he has. I know we're not talking about him as being wide receiver number 1 or 2 or whatever, but Ashton Dulin just kind of does his thing all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that he is a good depth wide receiver for this team. He had the huge, I want to say, catch and run touchdown last year. Was it week 1, Kevin? From Anthony Richardson, I want to say it was a 50-plus yarder.
Yeah, was that the Houston game?
Yeah, the Houston game. So he has some ability, obviously brings a lot to special teams, but I think that he's a good depth piece for that wide receiver room that, to me, has a lot of talent in it, and obviously you want to see it kind of come together with the quarterback. So he caught a nice touchdown pass from Anthony Richardson. It was the second-team offense versus the second-team defense, and it doesn't matter. It was just a perfect pass, perfect catch, and the crowd kind of went crazy afterwards, and that was certainly one of many, I thought, big plays, which we hadn't seen, Kevin, throughout camp so far. We've seen, the quarterbacks have some pretty good days or some, days that I would say, okay, that's a step in the right direction. But yesterday, there are a few moments where I'm like, okay, this is why, particularly when it comes to Anthony Richardson, they believed in you. They drafted you 4th overall a few years ago. Now, obviously, that is training camp. It is not a real game, but at this point, you will take what you can get. And I think one of my takeaways I put in my story, Kevin, when I'm getting up this morning, with the crust, getting the crust out of my eye because we was out there so late.
The eye boogers. Well.
But one of my bigger takeaways was beyond the highlight reel throws, which we all saw and the crowd celebrated. I thought Anthony, for the most part, to that last last-minute drive, last-minute scenario, he was pretty efficient when it comes to the basic, simple, boring throws.
Yeah, and again, we'll have some Steichen audio that we'll get to in a little bit, but I would say one anecdote last night, James, I don't know if you felt this way or when you brought that up, if you were thinking of this play, but he uncorks the deep one to Mitchell down the right sideline. Yep. Huge play.
Yep.
Everybody's celebrating, and Shane Steichen's got his megaphone, and he was literally – Shane Steichen last night's job was to narrate a game, really. He would decide how many yards were gained on a play, and he'd have the megaphone. He'd say, all right, 2nd and 4. And both offenses, Richardson and Jones, would then have to, operate like they were moving the football. So Shane made sure that everybody knew we're live here. And for anybody that's watched the Colts over the last few years, there's nothing Shane Steichen loves to do more than after a successful play, go and hurry up. Yep. He loves that.
Yep.
Loves to catch the defense off guard. Honestly, it's one of Shane's staples. So this is a 40, 50-yard chunk to Mitchell.
Yeah.
And it's down to, let's call it the 5-yard line or the 3-yard line, something like that. They go hurry up, and Richardson is, again, trying to get the offense, together. And, we watch Anthony Richardson. He loves to celebrate. So here he is having to kind of get that out of his body, get ready for the next play, and what does he do? He just rifles one in there to Will Mallory for like a 3-yard touchdown.
And again, not a throw where we're going to be like, oh my gosh, replay this on SportsCenter.
The Colts aren't going to show this on their social media page today.
Nope.
But again, these are just kind of little plays where can you, and I heard actually someone from the stands last night yell this out there, good job hitting the layup. He had to dump off to a tight end at one point and did that. Those are some of the plays where, again, the underneath stuff, to me, 7 practices in, is more accurate than it was each of the first 2 seasons. I don't think there's any denying that. Obviously, truer evaluations await, one coming up on Tuesday with a joint practice in Baltimore. But right now, against your own team, I think you got to be pleased with what he has done so far.
Well, I think they got to feel good about themselves as they get ready for their first joint scrimmages against the Ravens next week, and of course that first preseason game. So I think last thing before we take the quick time out, Kevin, give it a grade for last night for what they were trying to do and what it looked like and what they got accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say pretty successful. I mean, I guess if you're giving the offense a good grade, that means you have to give the defense a bad grade. So again, there's context around it. I mean, they were banged up. Louis Anarumo's group, you can't ignore that. I very quickly went to the cornerback roster, and I'm like, wait, who is this guy? Oh, that's the guy they signed today, and he's like practicing.
Yeah.
That's not obviously ideal, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really, it was an entertaining night, and I know that's not everything, but again, if you were out there at that practice, you saw something pretty unique by the Colts, and I thought the fireworks show, the light show, James, that light show after practice was awesome.
Yeah, the drones. The messages they sent to Jim Irsay, thank you, Jim,
Yeah.
and the horseshoe
That horseshoe
logo,
was
and
awesome.
yeah,
looking.
that was cool. I've never seen drones that close in person do all those cool things. I thought I was like in an Iron Man movie for a second there, so that was pretty cool.
Here comes Tony Stark.
I mean, seriously,
And I got
it was
nervous
sick.
walking into the building last night. Those lights were kind of bending over a little bit there. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, but those temporary lights worked out great. They were primarily just on field 2 last night. That's where they had the lights, the southern of the two fields, if you will.
Oh, don't worry. All you have to do is just stand next to wherever the quarterback is, or like the team owner, Pete Ward, the people who are very, more valuable than me, so I can kind of, make sure I'm in good hands.
Well, if something bad happens, you're not showing up early in the old in the old story on that. But no, I thought it was a great night. And again, morning practice tomorrow, morning practice Sunday, and then off to Baltimore all next week.
All right, coming up in a moment, we've got the check down. We'll talk a lot more, if I get it going here, about the Colts and their situational scrimmage last night. The weekend ahead, a lot going on here. It's all straight ahead. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan on a fantastic Friday morning.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good Friday morning and welcome into the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Jeff Rickard, Mark Dykton over there, ready to head off into the weekend, but we got a lot of work to do first. Colts had a lot of work to do last night in their situational scrimmage. Kevin Bowen, sounded like a pretty good night for both quarterbacks, wide receivers, Tyler Warren. Everybody on the outside had a pretty good night.
Yeah, I would say I don't want to lose sight of what the defense did late, though. I thought Latu had a really productive night. Kwity Paye had a big rush there to kind of stymie the offense. James Boyd, I'd probably say fireworks from the offense in that first hour, unquestionably. And then I thought as the practice moved along, things got a little bit more even. And then at the end, I thought the defense, especially starters against starters, I thought the defense definitely won that final period.
Yeah, for sure. I think Anthony Richardson towards the end might have had one completion on that final drive. Then he had the strip sack from Latu, who, by the way, shows off his hand-eye coordination because you can't hit the quarterback, but somehow you got to stand on the ball and strip sack to Anthony Richardson there. So it's a scrimmage. They give the ball back to the offense, but that was certainly a play that stood out to me from the defensive side of things.
Speaking of Anthony Richardson, after the scrimmage, doing interviews, Grover Stewart, you can hear the fireworks you guys were discussing going off in the background. He was giving Anthony Richardson some really high camp marks.
Oh, man. So I talk trash to him each and every day, man. And going against him, it's a great thing because you can tell, like, he's on it, he focused, and I talk trash to him and try to throw him off, but he still stay locked in. And you can just tell he growing out there each and every day, each and every play, too. So.
Does he ever talk any trash tonight?
He talk a little trash. He say I can't catch him if he running and stuff like that. So, but I tell him I catch him in the game.
There you go. So high marks from Grover Stewart says growing every day.
Yeah, Grover Stewart came over to do media yesterday. He was like, "Why are you standing so close?" He was talking to me, and I was standing close to the mic because the fireworks were so loud. And I was thinking, if Grover Stewart asked me to get out the way,
I
will certainly do so.
I was going to say.
Yeah, for a while there, he did towards the end of his interview with us or his press conference with us. He gave me a little shoulder bump on the way out, and I started to flop like I was playing basketball with JMV. But I was thinking better of myself. If I flop out here, I don't know if I'm going to get any like compensation for that. But shout out to Big Grover.
Sounds like Grover just wants to mix things up in this camp.
Yeah. Honestly, Kevin can speak to this. You've covered him longer than me, Kevin, but the guy is so simple. I mean that in a very complimentary way. His idea of football is, go and choke the other guy out, and he does that pretty well, and he's been paid handsomely for it throughout his career.
And they'll get back to work this weekend, right?
He's the nicest football choker outer I think that's out there.
No, seriously.
He's just kind of a big old teddy bear. Yes, tomorrow 10 a.m., Sunday 10 a.m., and again, this will be the only time they're at Westfield between now and next weekend. They're in Baltimore all next week, so... Yeah, we start to get into a lot of weekend practices. That's kind of the theme now, the rest of camp. I want to say it's only one Monday, one Thursday left, and that one Thursday is against the Packers kind of in mid-August. So, yeah, things start to really quiet down up at Grand Park.
All right, let's check in on the WNBA. The Indiana Fever have won 3 games in a row. They go on a road trip that will last for 4 games. Starting tonight, they'll play in Dallas against the Wings there. You can watch it on ION. You can listen to it live on 93.5 on 107.5 The Fan. And we'll have the pregame with Eddie Garrison tonight. What's that? A little bit later on tonight because they're over in Dallas. I think 7:30 is when the game starts this evening. So check that out. Also yesterday, keeping an eye on your guy Charlie Woods. He is 12 under par, tied for second after a blistering 5 under 66. Kevin, he had 8 birdies at Camp and Cosler yesterday.
Man, you might be more into this than I didn't know Charlie Woods would rise so high up on our morning checkdown. Who needs MLB trade deadline? We've got Charlie Woods updates.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've never loved you more, Jeff.
We did trade deadline yesterday, didn't we?
Well, I mean, the deadline was yesterday after the show.
Yes, but the Reds made their moves.
Well, if we don't have to talk about the Reds game, I am totally fine with this. So let's keep on talking about Charlie Woods. Keep on going here. What else you got for me?
We will talk. He is in second place right now, but he is well off the pace. That kid you were talking about yesterday, London Easterling, is 19 under par.
I'll be waiting for London's parents in the parking lot. Trying to make the U.S. Junior Ryder Cup team, Charlie Woods. Hell of a second round, but yes, good on young London.
It was fun.
Is an American, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Atlanta Braves did outlast the Reds 12-11 in 10 innings in a wild game. I was at a college admissions seminar last night. I got home just in time. The game was tied at 3. The Braves score 8 times in the top of the 8th, and then James, the Reds, score 8 times in the bottom of the 8th. We get extra innings, and then the Braves push across the winning run in 10. I guess all good things came to an end there. But later on tonight, the Braves and Reds will play again. Actually, it's an afternoon game. Starts at 12:40. More afternoon baseball up in your neck of the woods. Chicago Cubs will be hosting the Baltimore Orioles today. That's a big interleague series right there.
Baltimore Orioles sold a bunch of their parts yesterday, too, at the trade deadline. So did the Twins. So Carlos Correa going back to the Astros,
huge.
that was a big deal. Interesting trade deadline for sure.
That was probably the biggest deal so far, wasn't it? Correa going back to the Astros?
Yeah, especially yesterday. Yeah, I would say Eugenio Suarez going to Seattle was probably the big one on Wednesday.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we head into the weekend right now?
Well, I think the big NFL news right now is Terry McLaurin and requesting that trade. How that plays out will be very interesting. Obviously, he's got some local ties here, and we'll see what Buddy Baker, agent-wise, has cooked up with that. You don't typically see this. You don't typically see August trade requests. So how will all of this play out? You know, I think we're used to when running backs get to age 28 or so, the red flag goes up. Honestly, when wideouts hit 30, it's kind of a red flag as well. But, you know, Washington was on the doorstep last year, obviously, of making the Super Bowl. So, boy, this is going to be really interesting to see, again, how it all plays out. And, you know, right now I feel like players are in this position, James, where they feel like they're high and mighty. And they feel like they can, you know, pretty much demand what they want. And for the most part, the players have all gotten the last laugh. Now, we'll see about Trey Hendrickson and, again, Terry McLaurin's situation here. But you don't typically see a week into camp trade request from beloved, you know, Pro Bowler, great community guy, et cetera, team that was on the brink of a Super Bowl, all of that.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, and I don't know if it's just a negotiating ploy, if he ends up signing a deal with Washington, or if they would actually trade him. It feels like a negotiating ploy at this point, James.
I would think so because he's had so much success there, but obviously everyone wants to get paid and get their just due. The age is a factor. His position is a premium position, so that certainly helps in his regard, but I think ultimately when it comes to these NFL contracts, Kevin, if they don't want to pay you, they don't have to. It just becomes a question of optics. And then you don't want to be the team that when you finally get good, I mean, the Washington Commanders were terrible for so long. You finally get good, you have your quarterback situation figured out, and you're having conversations about not paying a guy who did everything the right way. When have we ever had a conversation about Terry McLaurin not doing something to a high level or being a high character individual off the field? And so you might want to reward a guy like that. Now, I don't know what number he's asking for. Probably have to come down from that. But you want to get a deal done with a guy like that because he is part of your culture. And I don't know if you can quantify that if he walks out the door.
All right, we'll talk more about all these things as the show moves along. We talked a lot about the offense for the Indianapolis Colts. What about the defense, specifically that defensive front? We'll ask the guys who are on hand to watch that next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good Friday morning for some folks. It's already back to school time. I know you had your youngest daughter's first day ever at preschool yesterday, Mark Dykton. How'd that go? How was the emotional roller coaster for her and your wife and you yesterday?
I was told she loved it. Teacher said it looked like she's been there forever because she just blended right in, had fun and all that stuff. And she said she made a lot of friends. She loves her teacher, so can't complain there. So kids off to school. She loves it. She also likes walking to school with her sisters and everything. So she's excited for kindergarten because next year in kindergarten, all three of them will be in the same school. And they're very excited about it.
So she's already not torn up by being away from you and your wife all day long.
Well, my wife is actually working at the school. She's working in a different class, but she's not going to be with her, which I think is good. But yeah, she's in the same school. So worst comes to worst, she needs her. She's there.
Well, it's that time of year. Back to school. We've got footballs in the air. Pretty soon, Friday night footballs for high school going to be starting out. Got college football, obviously. Week 0 is just a couple of weeks away. We have weathered the summer, and what a summer it's been here, from the Pacers run to all the other great things that were going on here. The Fever have done a great job. We had the WNBA All-Star Game. We had the Brickyard 400. Now we're full into camp, and a pretty good scrimmage to talk about last night as the Colts had a situational scrimmage up at Grand Park. And James Boyd, we've talked a lot about how things look for Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones so far this morning. But what about that defensive line that people really want to see some improvement from this year?
Latu, I thought, stood out there throughout the practice. He had a couple of pressures. And actually, on the throw that Daniel Jones had to Tyler Warren, which I believe was one of the best catches you'll probably see in a setting like that. And like I said, Coach Venturi was in my ear saying, that's the best bleeping catch you'll see. And that bleep can play. And so
can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
Did you watch? Okay, so let's dive deeper into this play. I apologize for interrupting, James.
No, go ahead.
But I don't know if I've seen a sideline react like that.
Yes.
To a training camp play in quite some time. And that's what I think I'm struck by. It's like when his peers are reacting to that, it's like, it's a wow moment. And if you go back and watch the play, I could not agree with you more. When Daniel Jones throws the football, I thought, oh boy, that's an overthrow. And for Daniel Jones' sake, you hope it hits turf. Because that is a down-the-seam overthrow.
Yep.
And that runs risk. And Jalen Carlisle had blanket coverage on Tyler Warren.
Yeah, it was great position.
Exceptional coverage. And honestly, when Warren stuck the left paw up there, I thought at the very least he was just stopping the ball. Like, okay, now it won't be an interception. He's not going to catch it, but at least by the fact that he gets his hand on it, it'll fall to the ground and be fine. And when he stopped it enough to almost tip it up to himself and then get the right hand up there, Austin Ajaki, number 58, the linebacker in the background, he immediately goes hands to the helmet like, are you bleeping kidding me that this dude just did that? I guess to quote John Starks there. It was, it's one of the greatest catches I've seen in a training camp setting. So I apologize for interrupting, but
the excitement's real.
I thought the sideline reaction, Jakey's reaction, all of it kind of told you of like, this is not just hey, we have a bigger crowd here and it's a night practice and people are naturally going to be a little bit more on edge. Clearly, the peers of Tyler Warren were in awe.
Yeah, special stuff. And again, that to me is sort of summed up that play, but also on that play in the replay, you can see that it looks like Latu got around the edge there. And when I brought the play up to Shane Steichen after practice, he was like, yeah, the defense got on me. I probably should have blew it dead, or the referees probably should have called it a sack, because in a real game, that pass isn't getting off because Latu is right in Daniel Jones's grill. Now, for our sakes and the highlights' sakes, and I definitely thought about the Colts videographers when that play happened. I was thinking somebody's going to clip this and it's going to be very viral for them. But nevertheless, I thought Latu had pressure not only on that play, but a few plays. And the difference between obviously making a play and not making a play at that position is just a tick or two, a half a second or more. And for the most part, I think that he's kind of come alive, Kevin, over the last couple of days throughout training camp. And certainly you want to see him come alive throughout his second season, because he needs to be a dude this year. When you get drafted as high as he is, those dudes are expected to be game changers. And the Colts don't have bad pass rushers, but they don't have right now an elite guy who, I think teams really have to, scheme and scout for on the edge. Now, you don't have that on the inside with DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart, But if he can get to another level on the outside, Latu, then this defense can be even that much more dangerous.
Well, and on that play, he had beaten Braden Smith, and he beat Braden Smith a couple different times.
Yeah.
Last night, and that's obviously a marquee matchup. So that also stood out to me. The thing about Latu at UCLA that I think a lot of people felt like he'd walk into the NFL and not be as much of a, project as some other young rushers, is he did it from both sides of the line at UCLA. This was not a dude that just simply lined up on the right or the left side and feasted on, the equivalent of IU's non-conference schedule, and then boom, you can pad your stats that way. You get in conference play and you kind of are quieter. No. He had some of his bigger games against some of the marquee teams UCLA played, and again, did it on the right and the left side. So I think it's been a quiet start to camp for Latu and the pass rush overall. But James, I did think on a night where you're missing DeForest Buckner, to have the amount of pressure that they did create was a positive sign for that group that I thought in the first 2 days with full pads, they were kind of quiet.
One more quick note on that play. If you watch the replay back, and actually, Kevin, I think it was Cameron McGrone in the replay. I can't tell because the number is 58, 59. But I'm looking at, honestly, skin tones, and I'm like, well, one guy is, a little darker. But after they kind of react, this man gets up, Tyler Warren that is, and just shakes somebody's hand and goes right back to the huddle. And I'm like, he's just so...
He's chill.
Boring, but, cool about it. You know what I mean? It's not an act. He was on with us. He's a very chill guy, but I was thinking, my goodness, the guy makes the play of camp. I got, Coach Venturi in my ear saying that's the best play he's seen on that field in X amount of years, and he gets up and shakes his teammates' hands and basically just says, it is what it is.
We didn't get a first down salute?
No, we didn't get any of that. And you know what's funny about
Nelson firm handshake is what we got.
Yeah, and actually I used it in my story yesterday and, got a chance to cite the show. I talked to him about this. We were able to get him on our show after practice earlier this week, and one of the questions I had was, do you work on catching bad passes? And he was saying, not really, but the quote that he gave us verbatim was, quote, "It's our job to make them right." And boy, did he make Daniel Jones right on that play.
And maybe Daniel Jones buy him a little dinner over the weekend here. For the first time, we see a veteran buying a rookie.
Both quarterbacks have been bailed out by 84 already.
That's what you love about your guy, and that's the guy that the Colts wanted. They got him, and so far, so good. Just a couple of weeks into his first camp, but early returns are very positive. All right, we're getting back to defense just a little bit. We had talked about Latu. Anybody else impress you last night along that defensive front?
Not really. I mean, there were a couple of nice plays I thought made by Tyquan Lewis. Quiddy had a couple of moments, as Kevin Bowen pointed out earlier. I said Kevin Bowen like it was so formal. I'm sorry, Kevin.
Speaking of formal,
disrespect.
When do you guys call famous people misters?
I don't. I never do.
That's always been awkward to me.
I will say I did use it when I talked about Jim Irsay to him. Like, I wouldn't, if everyone else in the room is calling him Mr. Irsay, I didn't necessarily feel the need to always go.
So if you're in a certain tax bracket, we then refer to you as Mr. I just use the misters for my friends' dads and my neighbors growing up.
No, I meant if I was.
Should I call her Mrs. Irsay? If
I'm sending
Gordon
an email
now?
or something like that, I would say Jim. And honestly, I'd probably say Jim to his face as well. But I don't know. It just depends.
Thank you to Mr. Ballard.
If I get the Mr., though, it's man, that's my dad. I got a Mr. the other day from, I think Stephen Holder had a kid, Jonathan. Goes to HSC. Shout out to Jonathan. He's maybe a junior in high school, going to his junior or senior year, and he called me Mr. James, and I was like, whoa, I haven't heard Mr. attached to my Mr. Boyd. I'm like, that's my dad. So, I'm getting up there in age a little bit, but not that much.
Do you tell your son's friends to call you? Do they refer to you as Mr.?
A couple of them do.
Would you be a cool dad if you're like, hey, call me Jeff?
No, I think they all just call me Mr. Rickard. I've never really thought about it, but now that I do think about it, that's what they call me. My kids, if they're familiar with an older person because of their Filipino heritage, they will say Tito or Tita. That's a sign of respect. When you say they maybe refer to you as, you could be, instead of Uncle James, you would be Tito James.
Tito Cam Bynum. Should we start going there?
I need to be older brother. How do we say that?
Kuya.
Okay.
Kuya James.
Yeah, then there we go.
I tell all my kids' friends to call me T-Bone.
I will say, does it change when they get older? Because all of my friends refer to my dad by his first name just because he's older now, and then we're all adults, and no one really cares. And he's also like not a big like title guy.
It's
so.
more like in the NFL, and again, this probably goes across all sports. It's like in the owner world, we refer to all these people as Mister, and I'm like, is it just because they're rich?
Is it kind of like calling somebody coach though? Have we just conditioned ourselves that that's the what you put in front of them, the surname you put in front of them? I don't know.
I literally have no idea. Probably a stupid thought that.
No, it's interesting.
I'm on 5.5 hours.
I've never really thought
here's
about
my
it.
brain.
Yeah,
I've said coach before, and I'm like, you're not my coach. Why am I calling you that?
Yeah, I don't do that.
Is that kind of like calling somebody doctor though too? Or
I mean,
that's what they've achieved. That's the status they've achieved.
The thing that
in society.
I'll call like Rick Venturi coach because that's just how we do it, and he's earned that title. I feel like through 50 years of NFL, CFL, and whatever else level football. So
well, it is interesting because my father-in-law, he's a retired surgeon, but everybody called him Dr. Tejano. I just wonder if it's a sign of just your position and what you do.
Doctor to me makes total sense. It's the Mister. I'm like, that's where I'm like, well, I guess technically aren't we all Misters, right? I mean, what defines Mister? Once you get married?
You just don't want your mom calling you Mister because that means something different, right?
You're a Mr. and Mrs.?
The most honest answer I can give you, especially in sports settings, and I've noticed this a lot with owners and players, they'll say Mr. Ballard or Mr. Irsay. It probably comes down to, I got a lot of zeros on this contract that you allowed me to sign. So I will just give you that sign of respect.
So I need to be doing that more in this building, is what you're saying.
I mean, I'm just
Mr.
saying.
Rickard, here we are. I'm going to now refer to you as Mr. Rickard. You are my boss. You will be Mr. Rickard.
I'll go by Kuya. How about that?
Right.
Older
Tino,
brother. How about that?
Kuya?
Anything.
T-Bone. My confusion.
Kuya's older brother. Indai, his younger sister. Things like that.
My confusion, I'm realizing now, like with school and stuff, like you have to write to the teachers on like message boards and everything like that. And I'm like, you say like their last name, or do you just call them by their first name? Your kids' teachers. You're a son of teachers, Kevin. How do you refer to them?
Yeah.
My mom and my dad always
I think if you're in
gave them
front
the
of your
respect
children,
Mr.
You say Mrs. Smith,
I mean,
right?
I'm trying to think of my own parents. I think at times when they would run into their students, the other parent would refer to them as, hey, Mrs. Bowen, hey, Mr. Bowen.
Yep,
so
that's
I think
how
in front of your kids, in front of the girls, yeah. But I would say in a personalized email.
Parent-teacher conference or something like that. You're like, hey, what's up, Emily?
Yeah.
How's my kid doing?
What's up, Emily?
That's not my teacher's,
especially
teacher's name. But
Mark's dapping up with Emily.
Well, here's the thing,
What's
too.
happening?
As I've
How's it hanging?
Here's the other thing. As I've started to get older with most of the teachers, they're all like younger than they're all your age, James. And so that'd be kind of weird for me to start calling people Mr.
By the way,
Mrs., Mr.
Speaking of Mr. Mrs., I was listening to Philip Rivers on Dan Patrick yesterday. I didn't realize the man's a grandpa.
Already?
He is?
So I guess he
Well,
had
what
to
is he,
retire.
about 42, 43?
When's the last time we've had a grandpa play in the NFL?
George Blend, maybe?
That's a good one.
It's not
How old
that
is
crazy
Phil
of a
Rivers?
thought.
I was about to say, hold
have
on now. He's 43.
No, but you look at
Philip
how old,
Rivers said yesterday with Dan Patrick, his two oldest daughters are both married, and I believe the oldest has a child.
His oldest is 23 years old, so
that's
that
not
checks
that
out.
crazy.
Okay, okay. I'm glad.
and he's
that
43,
she
you
is.
said, Mark, right now?
Yeah, he's 43.
He also
43,
said,
yeah.
maybe we'll play this audio coming up next week when it's a little quieter with no Colts practice at Grand Park, but he also mentioned that in that 2021 season, the Colts are one of the teams that he had some interaction with late in the year about potentially coming back. And for those needing to re-rack their brain around that, they probably don't want to, but that was the Carson Wentz collapse late in the year. Could you imagine if they would have benched Carson Wentz like 3 weeks ago in the season and brought out Uncle Phil Rivers, a guy that you better call Mister? I'm calling him Uncle Phil.
There has been a player that has been a grandfather while playing in the NFL. You guys
Is
want
it recent?
I would say it's pretty recent, yeah.
Oh, really?
Because it's not. I mean, it's not that crazy. I mean, if you have a 20,
Brett Favre?
21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Really?
You are correct.
Let's go.
Brett Favre, his daughter was pregnant when he was playing in 2010. His 21-year-old daughter was pregnant.
And Favre's oldest year was what, 40?
I'd have to look that up.
42, 43, maybe?
Gosh, that's crazy.
Because you look at Tom Brady's kids, they're still, I think, mostly like high school age, right?
Yeah, Brady's kids I thought were always young. But, but the Rivers can't. I mean, Phil Rivers was having kids the moment he had armpit hair.
Yeah. And I think he and his wife been together like forever and ever.
10 kids.
Right?
7 girls, 3 boys, he said.
a
How
lot
do you
going
go to the
on.
grocery store? I don't understand how that works. It drives that's what I don't understand.
Yes, Mrs. Rivers is not pushing the shopping cart up and down.
There's
aisle
probably
6.
some deliveries going on there.
I mean, I
think.
just don't understand. Like, I got to go run to get some eggs. Like, you got to pack up 2 cars.
You got to go to Costco, get those things in bulk, man.
I guess, but you
Phil
got to have
Rivers
space for
also
that.
said he thinks he could outrun Peyton and Brady, which I think is ludicrous. I think if you had a 40-yard dash between Phil Rivers, Peyton Manning, and Brady, isn't Brady winning that?
You think so?
Probably at
make
this
that
point
the
in
Pro
time.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Put that as the Pro Bowl.
He's
actually.
probably
I'm
still
not
training every day,
1,000%
isn't he?
sure,
Even in their
Kevin.
primes.
You'd think Brady's
Ooh.
still training
I
every
mean,
day, wouldn't you?
Rivers and Manning
Knowing
get
him?
out of the starting blocks looks like me the Monday after the race.
But you got to understand, Philip is now going to be chasing around the grandkid. He's got a little more training in recent
And
days.
have you seen what Brady's chasing around lately? I mean, come on, man.
Fair enough.
I know
fair
Jeff's
enough.
been looking at that.
Yeah, late at
In his
night,
People magazine,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's Fan Morning Show with KBJB, Jeff, Mark Dykton,
mind of
and
Kevin Bowman.
we are coming off a big night practice, situational scrimmage they called it last night.
Situational scrimmage.
And is that the way he said it, the tone, right? Situational scrimmage.
Sounds very situational.
But more than anything, I'm listening to Shane Steichen afterwards. He sounded pretty pleased with the whole thing.
Yeah, I believe it was you, Kevin, who threw it at him when it came to the why did you do this? When's the last time you did this? And he basically said he wanted to just give his team a little bit of energy, a little bit of life, and just, I guess put them in a scenario that they really haven't had in the 3 years he's been here. And so I thought it was a nice change of pace. Now, obviously, for our purposes, I would prefer any practice to be earlier in the day because we have to get up kind of early for the show. But for what he wanted it to be, I thought that it probably went about as well as it could. Beyond just the play on the field, the opportunity to have a bunch of different scenarios, a ton of 11-on-11 reps. You do have the crowd in there. We got some field goal kicking in there as well with some of the, lights and pressure of the fans. And we saw actually Maddox Trujillo, the undrafted rookie, struggle yesterday. And Spencer Schrader, I would say, is definitely your, kicker one and your starter this upcoming season. He had a fairly solid performance yesterday. I think he only missed 1 kick, Kevin. If I'm not mistaken, out of the 5 or 6 he took.
I think it was 50%.
Yeah, so I thought it was an overall cool environment. And then it ended, like you all heard in the Grover Stewart audio, with a lot of fireworks that
Literal.
going off right, as we were doing media.
And like legit fireworks. I mean, that was not a half-assed firework attempt there. So I don't know if they
Freaking
got
those roosters out on
I was
that
gonna say,
farm right behind the
good luck
field,
to
man.
the old animals sleeping around there. But 27 passes for Daniel Jones in starting work. I think
Was
it was
he 22, 21, something completions?
Yeah,
somewhere
and
in
I think
there?
19 for Richardson. I mean, those are big numbers for those unfamiliar with how practices work. And I guess we should touch on Daniel Jones, James, because I know that Richardson, with uncorking that deep ball last night, there are a couple highlights that stand out. But I would say with Daniel Jones right now, much better second week than the first week. And I'd probably add this, and this probably goes for both quarterbacks. James, when's the last time either of them have thrown like a super interceptable ball? I don't remember last time either's been picked in 11-on-11. You go back to Saturday?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, 3 straight practices.
Yeah.
Where neither was picked. I mean, that's and yeah, again, we'll throw in the caveat that deserves to be said. Last night you were missing 3 of your top 5 corners. We can't ignore that. But the question they're going to have with Jones and Richardson, and there was a sequence last night that I thought played into it. Jones was with the starters. They were trying to, it was a move the ball drill. So, you get it at whatever, your own 20, your own 30, and the thought is you've got to move it like a real drive in a football game.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones and the offense stalls out. Maybe they got 1 first down, but they stall out. So they go off the field. Richardson in the second unit comes on the field. And Richardson, a couple plays into it, that's when he uncorks the deep ball to Ashton Dulin. And it was just one of these reminders. And again, I think the Colts have had a very internal struggle with this of what do you want at quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
The dink and dunker or the man that's at least going to try and attempt some stuff down the field? And that's the difference in the 2 quarterbacks, really. Can you live with trying to create 12-play, 80-yard Daniel Jones type drives? Or do you live with, Adam Dunn in the batter's box or Kyle Schwarber in the batter's box of Anthony Richardson, boom or bust? Now, again, 7 practices into camp, I would say, the egregious misses have been a little bit quieter. But that's, I think, a big-time struggle they've had. And Shane Steichen, I think, would be the first one to tell you that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch because listening to Rick Venturi, he said, obviously you can't have a completion percentage below 50% like you had last year. And his thought was if Anthony could get it into the mid-50s this year and just take care of the football, which is what they did last night, that solves a lot of problems right there, doesn't it, James? Just cutting down on turnovers and moving the chains.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by how complicated football is and how simple it is as well. You look at teams that turn the ball over, they lose. You look at teams that don't pass the ball very well, they lose. And so obviously it's not as cut and dry as that when you're back there and you're actually facing that pressure and trying to read all the options on the play. But more or less, you just cannot be like you were last year if you're Anthony Richardson when it comes to an efficiency standpoint. And Kevin, we were talking about it last night on the sideline. I probably was a little bit too much into this camp last year, and I honestly feel like I maybe over-calibrated at this point, but still, nevertheless, I don't care how you slice it, 47.7% is never going to cut it in the NFL. Now, we can get into, well, his actual real percentage is, 62% if it's the on-target throw rate, whatever these, we can make up a stat for anything. I don't care. Every other quarterback deals with drops, not the greatest pockets, not having the best skill position players. Their completion percentage was not the worst in the NFL. It was not the worst in franchise history. So whatever way you do it, it has to improve from there. And if it doesn't, obviously, he cannot be an NFL starting quarterback at all. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
You go back to those numbers Jeff just mentioned in regards to Coach Venturi. 45% versus 55%. If we just did simple math from a fraction standpoint, you're talking, let's say Richardson throws 20 passes in a game.
We'll get Grant in here for you.
You're asking him to go from 9 of 20 in a game to 11 of 20. Like, when I say that out loud, you're not asking him to climb Mount Everest. 9 of 20 to 11 of 20.
And you do it in chunks, right? Each individual game. Yeah.
So you're asking him to have one pass be completed each half that he wasn't doing. Like, on the surface, doesn't that not sound like the craziest ask in the world? I mean, if you can live with 55.
Yeah.
Now, again, when you live with 55, I think you have to throw in two quick items. You can't have the turnovers, and you have to have the big plays.
Yeah.
You can't dink and dunk your way at 55%, and you can't have, again, 11 of 20 with 9 incompletions. 9 incompletions can't have 2 of those be interceptions. So, again, we'll play that Steichen audio in a little bit because I did think it was probably the most, I don't know, one of the more honest I think Steichen has been about acknowledging improvement from a particular quarterback. I don't think he's usually too candid in those settings there. So, yeah, again, exiting week 2 of camp, if you want to label last night, maybe the end of week 2, I do think the quarterback arrow is in a better spot, but next week and, the preseason games and all of that are just such true evaluations because I was looking at the roster a whole lot last night being like, who is that corner? Alex Johnson? There's got to be 3 Alex Johnsons at Carmel High School right now.
Are you going to give Shane Steichen a call Monday? He did say he was going to come to a decision, him and his staff, about the quarterback splits and who plays and all that against the Ravens on Monday, which conveniently is a travel day, no media availability.
They're going to discuss it tomorrow, is that right?
Yeah, so meeting today. So I just figured, I would defer to you, Kevin, to give him the call, and if he doesn't pick up from you, hopefully, I can double back and kind of give him a ring.
You know me, a lot of late night phone calls, me and Shane Steichen really, breaking things down.
Everybody's got their thing. That's cool.
I feel like it's like a height club. If you're a certain height, he might give you a little grace there.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the percentages and how it wouldn't seem to be that much, but then I was watching some baseball highlights that were up in the corner while you were saying that. And I'm thinking I think it was the famous Crash Davis speech about the difference between, or maybe it was For Love of the Game, whatever it was. Kevin Costner was talking about being a 300 hitter. Just over the course of a season, you get a seeing eye ground ball here. You get one dribbler that the guy just can't make a play on. But what's amazing about baseball players is over the course of their long career, and a lot of times with quarterbacks too, guys just kind of become who they are at a certain point. And a 287 hitter might hit 295 one year, but it'll hit 280 the next year. And it just kind of evens itself out. So you need to see a healthy year from him and a consistently better year. And I think it's possible because of his relative inexperience and youth. That's what gives me hope that can happen.
Well, I when you say health, now you're opening up a different can of worms.
Yeah.
But that's part of the equation for him, right?
Right. But that's one that I cannot. Like, I can sit here and tell you guys I've seen better underneath accuracy in the first 7 days, and I'm pretty confident in saying that. Again, I won't rehash the eye doctor analogy, but I'm pretty confident in that. But I can't play the health game with you. The health game is going to be a different animal, and that's one where if there are fans out there that are like, I don't care that he's shown improvement, the man can't stay healthy. As sad as it is, I don't think I can counter that. You would like to turn off injuries, but you can't. Like, he has proven to have injury issues. So even if all this improvement is there, unless the availability all of a sudden takes a 180, we're largely back to square one with him.
We'll ask Greg Rakestraw his thoughts on all these things coming up in a moment as we get going for a Football Friday here. Matt Taylor joins us at 9 o'clock. It's the Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Mark, or I was going to give you the Filipino title there. Undoy
You give me
Mark.
whatever you want.
Undoy Mark for little brother. How about
Easy
that?
now.
Okay.
All right, take us to break.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on the Fan Morning Show with KBJB Jeff Mark Dykton. And it's Football Friday. We had a little scrimmage last night for the Indianapolis Colts under the lights, and one of our favorite people to talk to. We talk to him every Friday if he's not out of the country jet setting all over the place. That is Greg Rakestraw, who joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Good morning, Mr. Rakestraw. Welcome home, and welcome back to football season.
And welcome home to you, and same to you. And again, for some hosts, me being out of the country does not preclude them either from A, having me on the air, or B, me texting them about our annual trip to see a Notre Dame basketball game.
There you go.
Ray,
there you go, KB.
Me, yeah, so this is, I don't know, maybe last Thursday, last Friday. Next thing I know, I look down, I see Greg Rakestraw text me. I go, I swear this man is in Iceland for his wife's 50th birthday party. And simply the text says, Vandals? ? And it's the Notre Dame non-conference schedule with the Idaho Vandals game, and he's trying to plan ahead with that. And Break, what did I even say to you? Did I just say, get back to vacation?
You basically said, leave me alone, and there was a string of expletives after that. Pretty much what you said.
Yeah. You are literally one of a kind, Greg Rakestraw. If I could I start with Rake? Or do we need to go
for
else?
it.
Okay.
No.
Greg Rakestraw, the great. I believe you had a little Tech High School action last night. I always love a visit to that campus. Is that correct?
Correct. So I missed the truest night practice since the Anderson University days for the Indianapolis Colts, because I had the City League Finals last night. So for those who don't know what the City League is kind of the pro-am, one of the top pro-ams in town. It's been going for several years. On the women's side, 5 years. On the men's side, I think 7, 8, or 9 at this point. But, like, for example, the women's game was won by a team sponsored by the Horizon League that had the 3 Goss sisters from Ben Davis, including Bria, who you'll hear later tonight here on The Fan. And Bria turned down the team charter so she could fly herself to Dallas this morning. She told me she had to be at the airport at 3:45 this morning. It was worth her while because her team won, and we're playing for straight cash, homie, in this tournament. So the Horizon League team took home $6K for last night's championship win. And then on the men's side, a team that featured Trayvon Blewett, who's now playing in France, obviously Park Tudor and Xavier legend, Robert Glenn that played at IUPUI and from Ben Davis, Tayshawn Johnson that played at Pike. They won $8K with their victory in the men's championship game last night.
Rake, I'm glad you brought up Bria because I called her Bria Buckets one day when I saw her at a Fever game. She was like, not too much, James. I don't really get down like that. I'm like, yes, you do. You're not fooling me. So I'm glad to hear that she has success out there, and she's a pro's pro going to do her job, obviously, on the road with the Fever. Pivoting back to the Colts for a moment, obviously the big talk this time of year is the quarterback competition. And so far, from my take on it, Rake, I think that it's pretty even. And if it stays this way, who do you think they will lean toward?
Here is the golf analogy I thought for Kevin Bowen at the other day, and it finally hit me. So I'm glad that it finally did. Literally on Tuesday, maybe I said, and I said, I've got a golf analogy, and it up and left me, and now it's back. So Kevin can explain this to everybody else. I want you to think of this like the Ryder Cup. And if it's tied, the team that has the cup gets to keep it. So the tie goes to the incumbent. If it is even, Anthony Richardson will be the starting quarterback. If Daniel Jones is better, then I think he will be the starting quarterback. To be honest with you, I went into camp kind of leaning a bit towards Daniel Jones. What we've seen the first 7 or 8 days, I'm kind of switching that lean. I'm leaning towards Anthony Richardson. Has it been perfect? No. Has it been better? Yes. You can see progress that is being made. So, again, if it's even, you're going to stick with the guy that was your first-round pick 2 years ago. But if it's not, this team knows they need to win. Or there's massive changes coming up for 2026. So, as of, 8-9 days in, I'd say it's Anthony Richardson. It's always subject to change.
Might need to excuse myself to the bathroom after
Right
that
there.
Greg Rakestraw analogy. Jeez, I'll let you guys take this from here. I'm a little hot and bothered right now.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. They've got, obviously, high hopes for Tyler Warren, who made a spectacular play last night and has been great throughout camp. They've got a very solid wide receiver core. They're hoping that AD Mitchell makes a big step up this year, and Mr. Reliable Michael Pittman Jr. All in all, they've still got a few questions on the right side of that line, but they've put most of their line back together again. To this point, is it fair to say that they've had a pretty successful offseason and early camp at this point?
So far, but obviously we'll start judging that a little more, by what happens in Baltimore. Not win or lose, but, how the ones play. And again, I think we will see more of the ones because of the quarterback competition during the preseason, whether it's first 2 games, all 3 games, whatever the case may be. But, yeah, so far so good. Obviously a little concerned about injuries to Jalen Jones and Juju Brents, but at the same time, I'm not sure either of those 2 guys project as starters for you. The injury roulette wheel spins for everybody in the National Football League. It has not gotten there to a significant or serious point yet for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's hope it stays that way.
Greg Rakestraw with us here, Payless Liquors Hotline. Rake, will you be on my TV Thursday night? Is that correct?
I will be on your television Thursday night. I leave for Baltimore Wednesday morning.
Okay, and is that with Joe Wright? So I'm trying to think of what the cadence is here in the preseason. I know Coach Venturi said road games are going to be tough for him.
Correct. So Rick will be with me for the home game against the Packers. Joe will be with me for the 2 road games in Cincinnati and Baltimore.
Speaking of TV, a news item that I think you certainly could hit on really took place yesterday during about the 9 o'clock hour, and that was Fox buying about a third of IndyCar. And, I think the future of, the Colts with the Irsay family, the future of the Simons, we've kind of debated this. And I guess, what do you make of really something I don't know if we've seen across really any sort of American sports, maybe even globally, in a major TV entity like Fox Sports buying just a third, but I mean, it is a third of IndyCar here. To me, it seems to potentially address one of the biggest issues IndyCar has, and that is finding consistent spots on a key network and also promotional and marketing stuff.
Correct. I think it's absolutely massive. I think it's a wonderful thing for the series, and it shows you how seriously Fox is taking this. Obviously this year you've got every, race on network television. And to me, it is as much about the shoulder programming. If you're going to have FS1 and FS2, you need content to fill it. It's why every IndyCar series practice is there. It's why every, Indy Next race is on there. It's why the 100 Days to Indy shows get rerun sometimes on both FS1 and FS2. And so that is a wonderful thing for the series. I'm also curious in terms of sponsor integration, what that means. One of the best kind of sponsor integrations that we have seen in IndyCar this year is the fact that Felix Rosenquist has a different livery each week because it's Sirius XM promoting a different channel. This past week was the Grateful Dead channel. And so do you start to see things like that where all of a sudden teams and cars have some different sponsors on them because somebody bought a multi-million-dollar Fox TV package? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's a very good thing. So the fact that your television partner is now truly your partner, I think it's a wonderful thing for the IndyCar series.
Rake, we had a debate the other day about who would be on our Mount Rushmore of Indiana athletes. And I want to throw that question your way, but the only caveat I have is that they have to have been born in Indiana.
Okay.
Putting you on the spot a little bit, but throughout all of your knowledge, who would you put on that list?
Well, obviously, if they're not, if born in Indiana is a thing, you take Oscar Robertson off the mountain because he was born in Tennessee. Obviously, grew up in Indiana and is associated with Indiana. But if that's the rule, then you would take him off of the mountain. That means Larry Bird and John Wooden are obviously on it from both a playing standpoint and a coaching standpoint. And people tend to forget how good of a player John Wooden was in the early days.
Oh, I reminded them yesterday because, me, I grew up watching this guy, so I had to let him know. He was also a very, very good player back in the day, but I'll let you continue. I'm a historian, too. I followed in your footsteps a little bit, Rake.
All right, so now I have to think about other people. I mean, would Don Mattingly be on there, potentially?
Ooh, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at that. That was a name we hadn't thought of yesterday.
I think Randy Johnson was brought up.
but again, not born in
I
Indiana.
that's true. Not technically born, yeah.
Correct. Just played here for a couple of years with the Indianapolis Indians. Who else did you guys put on there?
So I had Lauren Holiday. I went the
Okay.
soccer route. I think you would
God bless
appreciate
you.
that.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of some other ones. Was George McGinnis born here?
Yes.
He was on my list, of
Right.
people. I had Damon Bailey just because I'm a high school basketball lover, and I was like the guy. I mean, I've seen the stories. I've seen the video over at the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame that they show you, and the fact that he got 40,000+ people to come watch his high school game is just nuts to me. I can't even fathom that in real life because I attended some huge games recently in recent years, and obviously the boys' final this past year was basically standing room only over at Gamebridge, and that's only 17,000 plus maybe.
Correct.
So yeah, that was a few that I had on my list.
KB, who'd you have?
Well, I'm trying to think because Mark, initially, did you not say born? It was
No, he just said Indiana,
just
period,
playing,
which was a
right?
little bit easier, honestly.
We couldn't have coaches.
No
was
coaches. That was the caveat.
So
yeah.
I thought the 4 was rather obvious. I went Reggie, Peyton, Oscar, Larry for the 4. I'm trying to think who else I would have thrown in there. I thought Jeff mentioned Rick Mount. I mean, you get into the Rick Mount, Damon Bailey thing, and it's like,
right.
Okay, from a purely high school angle, you could go there.
The only thing I say, Rick Mount, is every guy that I talked to in my age group that was around then, that's from Indiana, lived here all their life, they all just rave about Rick
Wasn't he
Mount.
the first high schooler ever on the front cover of SI, Rake?
Correct. That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and people threw, again, not born, but like people threw from a Mark Spitz standpoint in there, just from a historical standpoint. I mean, you could go Gretzky if you want to get away from the born in Indiana.
I'd throw
aspect
Jackie
to it.
Young in there, Rake, just because I mean, all-time leading scorer for girls and boys basketball. I believe she's a 2-time WNBA champion. 2-time gold medalist. I mean, her resume is pretty incredible. So
see if you throw in the Peyton Manning, Reggie Miller types because of playing here but not being born here, then wouldn't you have to say AJ Foyt would be part of that group too?
Yeah, someone did mention that.
Speedway?
Yeah, someone did mention AJ Foyt to us at all. Yeah, we're gonna need a Mount Rushmore that's like
Hey, quickly,
about 10 faces on there.
Quickly too, wasn't Rod Woodson the Fort Wayne guy?
Correct. Absolutely. Fort Wayne Snyder High School.
Rick, before we let you go, the news cycle, I don't know if has been top of mind here lately for it, but it's something we've definitely discussed over the last 6 to 8 months. I was just curious where we are, if there are any updates on it. Where are we at from a MLS pitch with the city?
Nothing new yet. I think the city has basically said, hey, we're going to have a team. We'll find a way to build you a stadium. I think this is on the MLS side of things because I don't think they're in a big hurry to expand. It is already as expansive of a league as any top-flight soccer division on the planet in terms of number of teams that play in the first division. But nothing new. And while I saw kind of a blurb in the Star about, hey, it's been 15 months, what's going on, I really think this is almost as much, if not more so, for the Major League Soccer side, because I think they will expand again, but I think it's going to be at least a couple of years down the road. So I think we're kind of in a holding pattern there.
What is the team total? Is it 30?
It's either 28 or 30, one of the two. And again, to give people an example, Premier League has 20 teams. Bundesliga has 18 teams. That's the German top flight for those that don't know. And we're sitting at 28 to 30. So, our league looks like NFL, NHL, MLB, but doesn't look like any other soccer league in the world in terms of number of teams that play in the first division.
Greg, always good to talk to you. Welcome back home, and it's good to run into you again, and we'll do it again very soon, I'm sure.
All right, see you guys.
There he is, the one, the only, Greg Rakestraw, here on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan on the Payless Liquors hotline. Yeah, we could probably do almost a whole show on that Mount Rushmore, and I don't know if 4 is enough.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, I tweeted out, hey, can you tell me who was the best Indiana high school basketball player you've ever seen play in person? And the responses were awesome. You had people from all different ages and obviously parts of the state kind of taking you down memory lane. And really, for me, it was a big kind of learning curve or a learning lesson to hear from other people about who was the best back in the 70s or 80s or even early 2000s or whatever from their area. And you heard a couple of names. Obviously, Damon Bailey came up a lot, but there's some dark horses in there and some really good players, honestly, that I kind of forget about. Oh yeah, they did play here for some time.
It's impossible frankly, to just put 4. You would have to define some very specific. Because again, Mark said you don't involve coaching. Okay, what about Slick Leonard? What about what about John Wooden? That's when you get into a ton of gray area with that.
Yeah, I'm looking at our YouTube chat right here. We got Greg Oden, we got Jeff Teague, we got Cody Zeller, and
sounds like the perfect late June if the Pacers don't make it to Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 2026.
Well,
sounds like the perfect week-long
One other
combo.
we talked about yesterday before we move on here. Tamika Catchings we didn't speak of this morning either. She's amazing.
But again, Bourne.
I think she's from Indianapolis, though, isn't she?
No.
She's not?
No.
I thought she was from
Illinois, then played high school maybe in Texas. I think she transferred at one point.
I got that wrong then. I thought she was
born in
here.
New Jersey.
All right. Yeah, you could go. You'd have to set very specific parameters, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, it's Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, Jeff, Mark Dykton. It is time to check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Greg's on our broadcasting Mount Rushmore for Indiana, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's a standalone.
I was going
monument,
to say.
He might be it.
Gonna say.
That is my guy. I see him a few times a year.
I clean the Greg Rakestraw face on Mount Rushmore each day.
I was going to say.
That's my job.
Gives it a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah, 100%.
Sculpting it as we speak. Last night, the Indianapolis Colts had a nighttime scrimmage up at Grand Park. Situational scrimmage, they called it. Offense played very well. Defense had their moments. Fireworks at the end. Who had the biggest firework of all, Kevin Bowen?
It's a personal question.
Well, yeah, outside of Katy Perry, I'd probably say Tyler Warren with that singular catch. I mean, it was just a hell of a snag. It's one of the best catches I've ever seen in a training camp practice. But I'll go back to something I said to kind of lead off the show. James, I thought the guys that have a lot of pressure on them this season, and this is not the entire list, but I thought a handful of them had a really nice night. Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Latu, A.D. Mitchell, Kwity Paye. I mean, guys that for their respective careers and meaning for this 2025 Colts season, there's a lot riding on them.
Yeah.
I thought those 5, all of them, should felt pretty good last night.
Honestly, I thought, speaking of fireworks, they were provided before the practice ended by A.D. Mitchell. I thought A.D. Mitchell had an outstanding practice yesterday. One of the best practices I've seen him have in his 2 years with the franchise. Now, obviously,
definitely agree with that.
All of that is, predating. Can you do it on the field in real games? However, that dude was balling yesterday. He was cooking. He had the apron. He had the chef hat. He had the saucepan. I mean, anybody you put in front of him, he just destroyed him. And there was a point there, Kevin, I believe, when Daniel Jones was in there and he went to A.D. Mitchell on 3 straight plays for, I want to say, 3 first downs in a row. The guy was just absolutely dealing. And I think that, again, when you see that, you get excited, but you also get frustrated because you didn't see it enough last year. And again, he's young. It's early. But you definitely want to see him take the next step and start doing this on Sundays.
Yeah, Jones threw one in his direction. I thought Jones was throwing it away, and AD toe-tapped it right on the sideline.
Looked like Chad Ochocinco out there.
Shout out to Chad Johnson.
I mean, some of the best feet you'll ever see when it comes to NFL football.
Yeah, good stuff.
Dancer, right? Elite dancer?
Yeah.
Who are big names were missing for whatever reason last night?
So DeForest Buckner was out with a foot injury, according to Shane Steichen. Travaris Ward was out due to rest. It doesn't sound like, obviously, either one is a big deal. The bigger news was hearing that Shane believes that Jalen Jones's hamstring injury is, I believe the quote was, Kevin, like more severe than Juju Brent's.
Yeah, a little more severe than Juju Brent's.
No timeline on either player. So that is a bit concerning. They signed 2 cornerbacks yesterday to sort of fill those roster spots in the meantime, and that's a big blow for both players, I think, because you're trying to gain ground in that cornerback room. And again, Justin Wally just continues to make plays and also be available. I thought he had a nice pass breakup yesterday.
All right. That's what's happening with the Indianapolis Colts. They will be off today. Practice on Saturday and Sunday at 10 o'clock each day up at Grand Park. Indiana Fever will play in Dallas tonight. You'll be able to watch that on ION TV or listen to it right here live on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. And speaking of no timeline, still no Caitlin Clark, right?
No timeline on her return, but as we've seen, they are definitely playing well in her absence, and she's, enjoying the show. I think the one thing about Caitlin is you can never really question how much she appreciates what her teammates are doing, how much she still loves the game, and she is often, I think, the biggest fan, sort of the crowd conductor when you see the other players stepping up. She's the first one to get off the bench and kind of tell the crowd, let's get into it.
Who pumps up the crowd more, her or TJ McConnell? Who asks for more from the crowd?
You know what?
Caitlin Clark and TJ
That's a
McConnell
great
love the
question.
hand in the air. Come on.
Wow.
Even almost cup in the air.
I
Old
might
school
lean
cup in the
towards
air.
TJ.
I might lean just because the never-ending energy ever.
Yeah, I think I might lean towards TJ because it's a little bit easier for him, I guess, to do it because he's not playing 40 minutes or whatever it is. I think Caitlin plays like 30 plus or whatever.
TJ looks so mean when he does it.
Yeah.
TJ looks like he's going to come into section 12, and, if you're not eating your popcorn, he's going to yell at you.
But honestly, dark horse candidate there, Sophie Cunningham has certainly endeared herself in that same crowd control role. And whenever she makes a play, that 4-point play the other night, crowd is hyped. They love them some Sophie Cunningham.
And don't mess with her teammates. We've learned that too.
Yeah, I mean, you'll get tackled like you're on Sundays.
All right, that's what's happening with the WNBA. Major League Baseball, very light schedule yesterday. Great game, though. At least it was fun to watch. Didn't please me at the end. But the Atlanta Braves outlasted the Reds 12-11 in 10 innings in a wild finish of the game. I don't know if you saw any of that last night, Mark. It was tied at 3 going into the 8th. The Braves score 8 in the top of the 8th. Then
really
the Reds tie it up.
Mark about the Reds. Do you really need to do
Come
that?
on.
You could.
It's a great game. But the Reds tie it up with 8 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and the Braves picked up that one in the 10th. But it was a crazy game to watch. There's no question about that. And that was the one game from our area. Also last night, the Iowa Cubs, beat the Indianapolis Indians by a score of 6-2. Those two teams will play again tonight.
You see how I showed restraint, Kevin? I didn't do anything for the Reds. Showed restraint.
So that
Well, where are you going to go?
Oh, sorry.
IU announced yesterday that their game against the Fighting James Boyds sold out coming up in September. That is a huge college football game on September 20th. IU Illinois, Big Ten opener for the Hoosiers. That is a massive game. If you want to play out the Big Ten standings, if you want to put Oregon, Ohio State, maybe Penn State on a tier, all right, those 3 teams are in the playoffs. If that leaves one more Big Ten team, I think a lot of people almost view this as kind of a pseudo. It's, probably foolish to call it a play-in game, but James, I know a lot of people are high on your Fighting Illini here. Brett Bielema's done a nice job.
All I'm saying is
he's being restrained over here. Did you see him think about that?
I had to think about my career in Indiana.
You have never talked about taking the high road, so you best not take it right now.
I've
it's
learned,
okay because you went to school at
I wasn't even teeing you up, and then all of a sudden you had this long pregnant pause like you were going to be
the look on his
Can
face.
I explain why? I went down this route when I first moved here, and I probably had Hoosiers in my mentions for like 2 weeks after, I think it might have been the Big Ten tournament. IU actually beat Illinois a few years ago in the men's tournament. And then the next round, I believe IU lost like a buzzer beater to Iowa. And I just relished in them losing with me. And the people hated me for that. So at the expense of my mentions, I'll save my trash talk for closer to the date. But obviously, I'm rolling with where I went to school. I got to roll with my guys. We finna smoke y'all. I'm sorry.
All right.
Hey, you want to schedule Kennesaw State? It ain't gonna prepare you for what we got coming. Sorry.
There we go.
That's what we're looking for right there, James Boyd.
But I'll preface this by saying, don't come in my like if I give it out, I will certainly take the trash talk back in return. But I don't want any crying and if we win, I don't want to hear none of that.
James has a new middle name. It's Don't At Me.
Yeah, no, I'm serious, man, because that's what happened. I took all of the slack a few years ago when Illinois got smacked, and then IU just crushed me for it.
Was the basketball game last year the one where Illinois was up like 30 at halftime of IU? And,
and I couldn't even really,
Did you talk then?
Not really,
you certainly
honestly.
could have.
I mean, but they.
Is that when they booed? Well,
every now and then. But
they booed a lot out of
sometimes, you talk with your on-court performance.
I can't wait for that game, though. I think it's,
in all seriousness,
that's a huge, huge game. It should be a really fun atmosphere. I remember a few years ago, and I think it was actually after COVID, but Indiana hosted Cincinnati back when Cincinnati, right after the playoff run for them in a huge game. I remember Mike McFadden getting tossed, and that single-handedly should have gotten tossed. And that really changed the game. But I think it'll be a terrific atmosphere down there. And terrific atmospheres, particularly in the month of September with IU football, don't really exist. So they do now, and that'll be a fun one coming up. Sold out down there September 20th.
As it should be. All right, coming up in a minute, we'll talk more about the Colts and their nighttime scrimmage last night. A little more on the Caitlin Clarkless Indiana Fever as well. And a look ahead to everything else that's going on this upcoming weekend. And we haven't really talked a lot about it. It happened late in the show yesterday. But what's the impact going to be of Fox Sports purchasing a third of everything out at the Speedway? We'll talk about that next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Bringing the big guns out on a Friday, Mark Dykton.
All-time great song. Peak Rihanna. Love it.
Yeah, this was probably played in every high school gym, I felt like, when I was playing basketball back in high school. And obviously it's a great song and a fitting song for what we had last night.
That's where I went. Look at you, James. You're reading my mind.
I am. You are really good when it comes to that stuff, Mark. I must admit, when it comes to the music and the ability to kind of meet the moment.
What's your DJ name?
DJ?
What would your DJ name be?
DJ Diddles. I don't know. Put me on the spot here. I have no clue. No clue.
I guess you never
DJ
thought
Marky
about
D.
I like that.
People say Marky Mark, but that's obviously
taken.
the Mark Wahlberg thing. I don't think he wants that moniker anymore.
Probably
so
not.
it might be open for business. I'll take it.
Oh, man. It's the Fan Morning Show on a Friday morning, getting you ready to go for the weekend. The Indianapolis Colts have, they've had 3 full padded practices this week, but they've also had some downtime too. So kind of like the way that Shane Steichen designed this with 3 practices. They had 2 practices, Monday, Tuesday. They were off Wednesday, had one under the lights last night, off today, and then back to work with 10 a.m. practices on Saturday and Sunday. It's probably a nice way to schedule that, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll take it. I did not want to go back out there today. I'll tell you that much after, going through some challenges last night with how late we were over in Westfield, Kevin. And I mean, I love seeing you, but I was thinking, man, I've seen Kevin literally to start my day and literally to end my day. And so I was feeling like, you know what? I know we're Culture the Family on the show, but I'm like, he needs to go home and be with his family. I need to go home and be by myself. Just to, I went home and ate cereal, I think at like, what was it, 1:30 a.m. or something like that. And
see, I'm not the only one.
Well, I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, fair.
You could have joined us. Kids and I went golfing yesterday, and then we went to the Children's Museum. So it was a hell of a middle part of the day until, yes, I did have to start my day and end it with James. Honestly, James, we might have hit Friday morning.
Wow.
We probably did,
each other last night at the local hotel. I want to play the Shane Steichen audio because I thought it kind of confirmed what I've been trying to convey over the last week. And this was Shane last night. And again, just to kind of set it up, you guys actually seem to, for once in my life, like the eye doctor analogy that I threw out there yesterday about Anthony Richardson. And that finally, I think APSO on the little eye doctor board is reading a little bit clearer for Richardson. I think if you compared week 1 of training camp in 2023 to week 1 of training camp 2024 to so far what we've seen, week 1 now, a little bit over week 1 here in 2025, the clearest video of the 3 has been this year in 2025. And again, that was my general thought posed to Shane Steichen last night, and here was the Colts head coach.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think everything's cleaner right now. He's playing at a high level. He's making good decisions with the football, taking the completions when needed, so it's been really good to see.
You hear that?
Nothing earth-shattering, but Steichen usually is not one that really goes there too often. So clearly, I think he's pleased. And if anyone out there has watched the Grand Park practices, and I think if you compare them to prior years, it is improvement. Now, again, will it be the same way when you're facing the Ravens, when you're facing the Packers, when you're losing the red jersey, all of that? That remains to be seen. But has there been, do you notice anything different? Hey, what's going on quarterback-wise? I get those questions endlessly, okay? This is what my eyes are telling me after 7 practices. A little bit better, definitely.
It's improved.
Now, am I saying, go bet the mortgage on the MVP? No, but it's certainly not as catastrophic as it has been. You know what? After you kind of buttered him up there, Kevin, and got him to actually answer one of your questions, I was thinking, is he going to tell us who the starter is? Is he going to go that far? But then, we pushed and we got nothing of the sort. But it was good to kind of hear some validation there. That way we're not, and maybe, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm going through, is this confirmation bias? Are you just saying this to get me to shut up in the press conference? And sometimes that is the case. But I do think if you've been out there like we have for all of the training camp practices, the intermediate throws, the layups as we call them, have been better for Anthony Richardson. Now, the next test I do think is obviously the joint practice, the preseason opener, because we want to see it translate to real games when the other team isn't necessarily going to quote-unquote protect you. For example, in real games, the defensive end is not going to run by you. You're not waiting for
referee to blow a whistle, and then everyone's arguing.
They're trying to kill
I would have got there, and actually you wouldn't have got there. We're going to get more of the real just authenticity of football, and a lot of that comes down to physicality and how much you can handle the simple stuff when that is on the line as well.
I can't imagine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, James, one of our colleagues said to me last night watching practice, like, what are we still doing here? Why doesn't Shane just name a starter? And I kind of pushed back and said, well, I mean, you're not going to go out there and name a starter until you see these two guys go against different color jerseys.
Right.
I think like there's no way he would name it. And this person was inferring that Richardson should be the starter over Jones, and that you can't live in the dink and dunk world. And, he's been late on some throws, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if it's been like, I think it's unfair to like label Daniel Jones' camp so far as like awful, horrendous, anything like that. He actually has protected the football really, really well. Again, it's not very explosive by any means. I found it very ironic, like the longest attempt he's had all of camp came last night when an offsides penalty.
Yeah.
Free play!
Yeah.
Chucks it up downfield, and A.D. Mitchell runs underneath it and makes a hell of a catch. So, but I don't expect anything from Shane. I know when Richardson was named the starter over Gardner Minshew a couple years ago, it was a little abrupt. It was after the first preseason game in Buffalo. I don't know if we're there quite yet. I based off how Shane is wired and how much they've preached competition, I guess I'd be somewhat surprised if they publicly named that until after the second preseason game.
That's what I was going to say. I can't imagine that they would, because you want to give each guy a chance to make his start, right?
You would think, yes.
And go from there.
And we only have 2 joint practices this year, which, again, I think is worth pointing out. It's one next Tuesday with Baltimore, and then it's one, I believe it's a week from Thursday against Green Bay. In most of these training camps, we have had, I would say, 3 to 4 joint practices, which, to some people out there might be like, Kevin, 2 joint practices versus 3 or 4, who cares? But you listen to these coaches describe joint practices, they act like it's the Super Bowl. And remember, a lot of times they have had the joint practices and then not played their guys in the preseason game.
Right.
Well, to me, that, again, can't happen. So I think those are just all some things to keep in mind as we start to get away from Grand Park and we start to get into some Colts versus others.
Here's the other thing, I think, too. By delaying it till, I think, after the second preseason game, and this is just me thinking out loud, you continue to kind of subtly push Anthony Richardson along. He seems to have gotten the message about preparation. He seems to have gotten the message about dedication and all the things he did in the offseason.
No
that started to
Skittles
show up.
either, according to Stephen Holder of ESPN.
Right?
He's
I
cut out
think
Skittles.
Skittles are kind of overrated.
But don't you think, James,
Okay,
it pushes him
continue.
just a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I'll get back to that Skittles comment in a moment there, Kevin. Those
I'm
are
going to
fighting
stand
words.
by it.
Those are fighting words.
Okay, all right.
But
I'm ready.
I do think, yes, when you look at the leadership issues you might have had last year, preparation issues, I think the narrative, and in fairness, I think Chris Ballard has admitted this to some degree, they gave him too much too soon. And so to your point, Jeff, now, even if you do know in your heart of hearts, okay, barring anything crazy happening, he's our starter, let's just make him continue to earn it day in and day out.
Bless you.
God bless you. Not for your Skittles takes, but that to me is a big point you just made, Jeff.
The original Skittles bag is Anthony Richardson's completion percentage.
Dang, it's that bad to you?
You went right there.
What, okay, what's good in that bag? There's 2 colors that are good in the bag.
I mean,
red and purple. Don't tell me you like yellow. Don't tell me you like green.
Yes.
Don't tell me you like orange.
Yes.
No way. No, that's a Richardson ground ball. It's a 40% hit rate in the original
goodness,
bag.
Mark, can you weigh in on this?
I mean, are we talking about just regular Skittles? You talking tropical too?
No. I want to be very clear. I said original Skittle bag. We get tropical and wild berry. We consider the same
Sour
table.
is very good
Wow.
too. Sour Skittles.
Sour
are
is
pretty
I
fire.
like all of them. I like all Skittles.
Now you're going to tell me all the Starbursts you want are yellow?
Do we need to do a blind taste test and you try them and
You know
can
what?
see if you can
I feel
identify
like I
them?
would fail that miserably. All I know is that it's
Really?
sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I could taste like grape and others, but like between like green and yellow, I feel like I would be terrible. Like for Skittles. For Starburst, maybe. Skittles, no. I feel like they all just kind of taste the same to me.
I'm fine. I just think
You know what, though?
If I'm at the gas station, Skittles or not, Anthony Richardson and I are not seeing
So,
eye to
all right.
eye on our favorite
Question:
candies.
2 items you got to grab in the not grocery store, in the gas station, road tripping. What are you grabbing?
Peanut butter M&Ms. Maybe those Dots pretzels.
Okay.
Those things are dangerous for me.
Yeah, I like the Reese's Pieces as opposed to the M&M peanut butter. I like the Reese's Pieces myself.
When you can't not grab a Reese's item. They're everywhere.
My road trip thing is to get a bag of M&Ms, a bag of peanut M&Ms, and a bag of Reese's Pieces and mix them all together.
Okay.
That's what I
By
like
the way,
to do.
did I see Reese's and Oreo on a collaboration?
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh, my God.
I feel like
Hey,
that's just
speaking of all this chocolate, guys,
Belly!
I brought you guys some legitimate European chocolate caramels from Paris and some from Belgium too.
Yeah, these are the chocolates that his sons and his wife, ate, and he brought us the crumbs and the leftovers.
No, I bought you the good stuff, the box.
So,
I reach in there and a mousetrap's going to
I
get
was gonna
my
say, when I
fingers.
reach in there,
crumbs.
the box is not even open. He's bringing us the
stuff.
scraps,
I'm not
y'all.
sure if my taste buds are developed.
I
enough
opened
to
it
go
and had
there.
one this morning, but
Just joking.
there's two different kinds for you. I brought it for you guys.
Kevin's a
quality
Hershey's
stuff.
man.
High quality stuff.
Hershey's,
I think
baby.
I'm going gas station snacks. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm definitely a Hot Cheetos guy.
I'd get down with some combos.
And then Sour Patch Kids are always my go-to. Those are good.
I do like the cheddar ruffles.
You know what I ate last night after practice, James? So for those unfamiliar, we work offsite at a local hotel up there in Westfield. Unfortunately, the Indy 11 building, we can't work there. So we all head over there, and the Colts do a nice job of bringing us some food. And there's kind of like a snack box, if you will.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I looked down that snack box last night. Brown sugar Pop-Tarts. I literally almost walked back out in the lobby of the hotel and said, "Do you have a toaster?"
Yes, that's a weakness for me.
Which I thought they would have looked at me like, "Dude, just be lucky we're giving you Wi-Fi and go back in that room." But I had 2 brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts at about 11:02 last night.
Pop-Tarts remind me of high school. I feel like I ate that every single day.
Yeah.
My stomach must have been iron back in the day because certain things, I'm just like, how did I ever eat that and continue my life?
Aren't those the snacks that they're giving to players, right? I mean, they're not it's not like they're going to Target for us.
I mean, yeah, we see the snacks when we walk through the practice facility. I'm sure it's in moderation for a lot
Trust me,
of them.
there are a lot healthier options.
Yeah,
I chose
but
the Pop-Tarts.
I also feel like sometimes when we look at the food and the snack options, Kevin, I feel like this is like the here, dang, just take it box because you're not always privy to what you can get, but hell, I'm just glad that we get something.
True story. Back in the day when I was racing bikes, go out on a long ride, and this was just before power bars got popular and they started making all those things.
Yeah.
So we would go out. I would go out with like a pack of Pop-Tarts, 2 bananas, and some Fig Newtons, and I'd be on the bike for 5 hours.
Fig
Golly goo,
Newtons.
man.
Forgot about that.
That was it. So Fig
My
Newtons
dad
and
used to eat Fig
Pop-Tarts.
Newtons back in the
I
day.
feel like the 6th president of the United States ate Fig Newtons.
They're
J. Edgar
good.
Hoover's favorite
Fig
snack.
Newtons are good, man. I still like them. All right, coming up next, what happened yesterday out the Speedway? Some pretty big news. We'll talk about it next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So it's Friday, and we've been talking about snack candies and road trip candies, and I brought the guys back some legitimate homemade chocolates from Europe, and I just passed those out. What'd you guys think? Yay? Nay?
I will give it a yay. It was certainly a 10 out of 10 for me. It was pretty good.
I'm saving mine till after lunch.
Okay. You haven't eaten
Putting it
yet?
in your pocket? What are you doing?
Yeah, I put it in the side of my book bag.
You're going to forget about that. It's going to
Guys,
melt in your car.
It's not melting. You feel the weather?
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, it was, James Boyd, that was a 2-layer night last night. You went windbreaker.
Yeah, and I'm glad I did because I still had shorts on, and my legs, like most people, probably don't get as cold as your arms, your upper body. But, man, without the jacket, I feel like I would have been shivering yesterday.
Anthony Calhoun had a parka on. I mean, it was.
Calhoun brought the Channel 8 parka?
He did.
Wow.
It was a little nipply, a little windy for the kickers as well. Which
would the
Spencer
Snuggie
Schrader
have been
definitely
permitted last night if I had brought it out?
I would not have judged too much.
Okay, respect.
It doesn't surprise me at all. We were talking about candy real quick and road trips, and Jake called us up at 239-1070 this morning. Jake, you had something to say about Skittles to the guys?
Jake Query?
No, not Jake Query.
Well, I wanted to say Kevin is right.
What?
Skittles are overrated.
What?
But
Thank you, Jake. I love you. I love you more than
there's
Jake
a but.
Query.
There's a but.
there's a caveat. Skittles freeze-dried are elite.
What makes the freeze-dried elite?
Walk
I
us
have
through
no
this.
idea what it is. It's just like, I don't know. They're crunchy, which is weird for a Skittle, but it's like the flavor is better. It's just, overall, it's better that way.
Jake, me and you are at war, brother.
I'll
Okay,
take
no, I'm
your word
joking.
for it. But Jake,
Well, he's brought a new product into play here.
I will have to try
Mark
this
will
for
get
sure.
your Venmo, and I'll throw you, a couple bucks there. Thank you for that. Again, it's what did I say? I didn't say it's all. I said it's overrated. I said it's overrated. By the way,
So you're
Anthony
taking a
Richardson
pinch.
is down to 240. Didn't he say he accidentally lost all that weight?
Yeah, I'm not buying that. I feel like
He
when you
looks
lose,
slimmer.
yeah, I feel like when you lose that amount of
See,
weight, you can't necessarily do that on accident.
I
Like 10
think-
pounds, you lost about 10 to 15 pounds.
I believe this, and I'll tell you why. When athletes get injured and they have long rehab recoveries, there's a different level of fitness as you go through that progression, especially when you come out on the other side, because you're showing up to rehab a couple of times a day. Then you're the person, your trainer who's bringing you back, your physical therapist is giving you exercises to do. You end up working out a lot more and a lot more focused with a lot more supervision. And I think sometimes guys come out of those rehabs at the very end on the other side way fitter than when they started.
I'm calling BS on that. I just
Nah,
feel like
I've seen
it's too much.
I don't know.
He's
Now,
15
we'll
pounds
see.
lighter, and he did that on accident. Not buying that.
Speaking of that workout, Mark Dykton, can you give us a little rundown of your state fair experience yesterday?
ooh,
Day one
yeah.
of the state fairs today. Boy, Mark, if we don't see you downstairs working out after the show, we might have some issues here.
I know. I ate a lot of food because it was free, and so were the alcoholic drinks. So yeah, I was invited to do the media taste test. So I went over there yesterday, and they had all these samples, and I was like, well, there's
What
some
a
of this.
burden you carry, by
Yeah.
I know some of these
The
foods. I
things
was
you
like,
do for us.
some of these foods, I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily try some of these, like if I had to buy them, but if they're free, I will try them. So there's pickles and pizza. It's literally slices of pickle
I'm cool on that.
with bacon on it.
Okay.
Very, very solid.
Okay, bacon. Got me
Sweet
back
and,
in.
it was a sweet and salty combination that actually was very good. Hot honey beignets, big plus
Ooh.
there. Those were outstanding.
Yeah.
We had, let's see what else. There is the
Isn't there an Oreo pickle thing, or am I
there's a
imagining something?
deep fried Oreo pickle. So
I'm good on that. No, I'm
No
not.
Instead of the-
chance, right?
it was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I had my hesitations.
Are you supposed to say all of this, or are you being honest?
No,
with
I'm
us?
being honest because there was some stuff that I tried that I'm like, nah, I took a bite and I'm like, no thanks. But I'm telling you the stuff that is out there. Lobster mac and cheese, big thumbs
Okay,
up
I was
there.
gonna say yeah. Hard to mess that up.
The brunch mimosa, which is like a mimosa, and then it's got like a strip of bacon. It has pineapple. It's got cantaloupe. Outstanding. Very good there. The Sun King Cotton Candy beer, they're special for the year. Very good. I would highly recommend that one as well.
Wait, hold up. Let's just pause for a minute. Mark, are you like done eating for the rest of the week?
Well, these are like samples like this.
Oh, okay. I
They're
was
not
just making
getting-
sure. Yeah,
they're not giving you like,
I was
you know,
like, give us the full context
These
here,
are not full
because I was like,
portions.
man, dude, you can compete with Joey Chestnut.
You,
Yeah.
you also get a business card to local cardiologist
You
once
got-
you're done with all
You
this.
got little girls. Have you read them Charlotte's Web yet?
No.
Okay, so my favorite childhood book of all time, Charlotte's Web, Templeton the Rat gets loose at the state fair one night. That's exactly what you sound like right now.
Tonight, Mark, around the fire, Fig Newtons and Charlotte's Web at the Dyke
There you go. A little throwback action.
Evan Sherrill of Cluster Truck asking, did I try the jalapeno popper pizza? I did. Excellent. Very good as well. So there's a lot of good stuff out there.
I'm with you. How is this man walking?
I was going to say, I got to check my
these
email
are
more.
samples. These are small portions. Trust me. I saw the Sun King beer. I'm like, can I have like a full one of those? They said no. Lemon shake-ups with like cotton candy in them, very good as well. Like, there's lots of samples out there that I'm like, the State Fair does it right.
I will say, I love me a State Fair, and I've enjoyed going pretty much every year since I've been here in Indiana. And I know it's overpriced food. I know it's crowded. Don't care. For one time a year, I'm going to just eat whatever, have a good time, and I think that it is a really good time. And seeing all the kids out there as well, they're having a great time.
The street tacos, very good. Also, it was in the Harvest Pavilion, and this year's theme is music. So it's like cover arts, and how did they come up with the cover art and all that concept. So it's everything from the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Linkin Park. There's all kinds of stuff there, stuff for kids to do. It is a good time out there.
They sold you. It's always
they sold
a good
me.
time.
I think
Every
we're
year
going
it's great
today.
there.
Ashley wants to go because she didn't get to go. So I think when she gets done with preschool, we are going after the show.
Good stuff.
Is this a family affair? Like full family?
No.
Or just
The other two
adults?
are in school till 3:40, and she's like, I would like to get some drinks and not have to worry. I'm like, then let's go in the middle of the day.
Right.
Oh, that sounds like
All right.
love right there.
We got to take a quick time out. We will get to the Fox Sports IndyCar reunion, I guess union you'd call it, a little bit later on. Matt Taylor's coming up next as well. We'll talk about the Colts from his perspective, what he saw last night. It's all straight ahead. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Fantastic Friday here as we creep closer and closer to football season, not just practices. We had a night scrimmage last night for the Indianapolis Colts. Had a great discussion earlier about the now sold-out game between Indiana and Illinois coming up. And
oh, yeah.
When do your boys get started? When's Notre Dame kickoff?
They have the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, which I think college football's kind of turned that into a primetime weekend.
Yes.
So Notre Dame, Miami, I want to say the Monday night, so the Labor Day game, I think that's Belichick's debut. Yeah. I believe that's North Carolina TCU.
I forgot he went there. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've really enjoyed how college football's kind of overtaken that Labor Day weekend. I'm glad the NFL has let that be. And so, yes, Notre Dame at the U Sunday night.
All right. The Colts getting ready for their first preseason game, which will take place Thursday night in Baltimore. And when you turn on the radio after our pregame show, you'll hear the next voice calling the play-by-play. Matt Taylor of the Colts joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline this morning. Good morning, Matt Taylor. We had a pretty nice nighttime scrimmage last night. What'd you think of that whole thing?
Oh, indeed we did. I thought it was awesome. I really did. I thought it was incredibly cool. Great idea by Shane Steichen. Great execution by the entire Colts marketing team. If you went up there, you had sensory overload, especially at the end of practice with the fireworks on the field, great quarterback play, 11-on-11 scrimmage for basically an hour and a half. You had the occasional special teams period. And then you had a 20-minute fireworks show afterwards. You had the drone show overhead. You had the cheerleaders out there. I thought it was really cool. There was something up there last night for everybody. If you're a diehard football fan, obviously you're watching the field. If you're bringing up a family, you've got the other stuff going on. It was just great idea. It was wonderful. The weather cooperated. It was cool. It didn't rain. I think it's going to become a training camp staple going forward. I thought it was awesome.
So, Matt Taylor, did you feel like Eric Taylor, Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights last night when you're walking out there on the field? Because I was thinking to myself, this is what Matt Saracen felt like back in the day.
Yeah, there was definitely like the 17 or 18-year-old version of myself somewhere, like fist pumping, like this is what it's all about. You're like the student body in the stands. You're looking to see if your girlfriend's paying attention, making sure she's not talking to another guy. You're engaged on the sideline. Okay, what package are we in? We're going to be doing a special teams play here coming up. All right, I need to rotate in on offense. I'm rotating in on defense. Like there was a lot going on socially, football-wise on a Friday night. Like it was the epicenter of your high school, existence, if you will. So it definitely reminded me of that. And in all seriousness, too, I bet if you go back and talk to a lot of the guys, in the locker room or in this case up at Grant Park, what was the most fun you ever had playing football? I think a lot of them would say under the lights, Friday nights. Again, it's just a huge social setting. It's just like the most fun you have, right? It's just all your best friends are out there. They're either on the field with you or they're in the stands. You're representing your school. It's just a really magical time. And I thought last night sort of brought those vibes back out for a lot of guys.
I'll throw one more your way on a more serious note, Maytay. But when you look at the quarterback play yesterday, and I know all of our eyes gravitate toward, in Anthony Richardson's case, the downfield throws, the big-time plays. But what have you thought about his progression in the intermediate area and sort of the layup throws that have, I think, kind of plagued his career through his first 2 years?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I have been so encouraged by Anthony's, I don't know what the right word is, just his presence, his maturity, his growth on the field, off the field. He's lost the weight. He talked candidly the other day about, hey, I had to take myself more seriously in everything, and that included even the diet. And he's lost 10 to 15 pounds, and he just looks slimmer in the face, looks more trimmer body-wise. I think that's helping him, obviously, with mobility, and I think it's playing into his accuracy too. But what I love were the comments dating back to the spring, and then he's doubled down on those comments that we've heard so far here in the summertime and training camp. I had to start taking things more seriously. I had to become more intentional. I had to do way more. And that all stemmed from the benching last year, having to be more intentional about what it means to play quarterback in the NFL and become a franchise quarterback. So everything that he's been working on is translating so far in training camp. Now it's camp, right? You haven't played a regular season game. There's still a lot more that he has to prove. But the dividends are there. They're starting to pay off because he's wildly more accurate this year in training camp than he was in his first 2 years in the intermediate part of the passing game that you're alluding to. He's completing more passes over the middle to guys like Pittman, and I think Ashton Doolin is feasting. Tyler Warren is certainly helping him out. But those passes are way more on target now, and that's his biggest problem. You know, it wasn't that he couldn't run the ball or he couldn't throw the deep ball. He was really good at those two things, but it's just completing the passes that, 95% of the other quarterbacks in the NFL were making. That's where he needed to improve upon his 47.7 completion percentage from a year ago. So everything that he is doing to himself mentally, physically in the off season is showing up here in training camp. And it's really good to see his maturity, his growth, the steps that he's taking to be the franchise quarterback for this team and turn into the guy that they wanted him to be when they drafted him 4th overall.
Year 7, Matt Taylor. Year 8. What are we at?
8.
Year 8 for voice of the Colts, Matt Taylor. He's with us here, Payless Liquors Hotline. I walked on the practice field last night. He was autographing a baby as I headed over to field 2. And I also have seen he's like an influencer.
Oh.
Have you guys seen this?
No. I did not know this.
Tell me more.
I mean,
I'm
all
intrigued.
of a sudden, Matt Taylor's requesting to follow you on Instagram, and every time I look up, it's a video, it's a picture. It's Matt Taylor. I mean, it's so Gen Z of you.
Look this up
now. I'm not sure who I'm influencing, but it's just trying to bring people into camp and what it's like to go through the grind, I guess, if you will, of Colts training camp. But it's also fun, right? We have a good time. I'm just trying to be more like Kevin Bowen, right? It's at the end of the day, I'm trying to steal followers from KB.
Who needs?
He's in a documentary.
Who needs Sydney Sweeney when you got Matt Taylor?
What's your handle? I got to look this up.
Oh, he's everywhere right now. Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts.
Well, give yourself some promo here. What's the handle on Instagram?
Listen, I'm dipping my waters into Instagram. I need a complete tutorial on Instagram. Instagram might as well be like the wild, wild west for me. That's probably like what Lewis and Clark felt like when they passed the Mississippi River. This great frontier. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have, in the grand scheme of things, I have a much better handle on Twitter. I think Twitter's pretty basic, pretty easy. So I'm kind of concentrating, the Twitter X stuff. But Instagram is more for like, my 14-year-old niece. She needs to give me a tutorial on what's going on there.
You know what, Mayte? I can relate. I have a goddaughter who I believe is about 7 years old now, and every time I see her, she is asking me, James, Uncle JB, can we basically do some TikTok dances? And have you practiced? And I'm like, I have practiced nothing. And so we'll go through like a 10-minute tutorial of her telling me to swing my hips a certain way. And she gets a kick out of me posting it on my TikTok page.
All I know is I see Mayte After Dark here. It's Mayte After Dark.
Yeah.
Boy, it sounds like sounds like an OnlyFans account, honestly. There.
That's it. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to see. Now, Jane, what the difference is between a story and a reel and a post and a news blast?
I agree with you.
What are we doing? So I just try to take screenshots on Twitter and then just repost them. And even that, I don't even know if I'm doing that right. So it's like a 40-year-old white male is starting from scratch here.
Well, you've just added a new follower because I have added Matt Taylor to my follow
list.
list. So there you go. Look
Turn
at that.
notifications on. They'll be sent right to you. Mayte, hardest position to cut down. Let's go one offense, one defense.
It's a good question. I mean, at the beginning of camp, I definitely would have said corner just because of the depth there. You've got some really good players, guys that had regular season experience with other teams and certainly with the Colts that you might have had to cut. But now with the injuries and the uncertainty of these hamstrings with Juju Brents and Jalen Jones, there's just no timeline on those guys coming back. So, hopefully with Brents, for his sake, individually, he's able to come back and just be more available for this team. That's been his biggest problem. And, I've said this a lot, when it comes to Juju, he's actually played less games than Anthony Richardson has. Same draft class, He's played in 11. Anthony's played in 15. So, Juju only played in 2 games last year. And so, like a lot of that stuff's out of his control. But, at the end of the day, like this train stops for nobody. You got to stay on the field. And so, like, that's the last thing he needed, even if it is hopefully just a little bit of a blip, hamstring injury, and he's able to come back. He's got to come back, and he's got to prove that he can stay consistent and again, available is the most important thing for him. And then Jalen's is a little bit more severe to the point where I don't know if they're related or not, but the Colts brought in a couple of veteran cornerbacks, Trey Herndon and Duke Shelley, off the street yesterday. So, that kind of complicates it a little bit more on defense. So still you're deep, but that depth is being tested right now, at least because of these injuries, either minor or major. And then offensively, I think wide receiver is still pretty deep, and I still think you're going to be getting rid of some really good players that can help you. I mean, Pittman's going to make the team. Pierce is going to make the team. Downs is going to make the team. I think Mitchell's going to make the team. I think Anthony Gould's going to make the team for special teams reasons. I don't know how in the world you cut Ashton Doolin as
he was one of the best players in the field last night, Ashton Doolin.
No doubt about it. And he's had a really consistent camp. I mean, he's showing up in every way in the middle of the field, for Anthony Richardson, like we just talked about, but he's making contested catches down the field and those chunk plays too. And then you've got some guys who I think are really good veterans. DJ Montgomery, Laquan Treadwell can play. They have some intriguing undrafted free agent guys that I think, in the right system, maybe not with the Colts, but they have some upside. There's no doubt about it. They have really big, stocky, tall receivers. The Colts definitely have a type there. Blaine Taylor. They have the Palmer kid out of Troy, Landon Parker from Troy, I beg your pardon. They've got a kid named Joe from South Florida who's an undrafted free agent. He's huge. So I think it's going to be tough to whittle that down. But I think, regardless, the Colts are going to have a stocked receiver cupboard both on the active roster and on the practice squad based on what you're seeing so far from that group in training camp.
I want to go back to Ashton Doolin real quick because I was talking about him earlier today. He's just always been dependable. Like every time some of the guys get injured, he seems to step up. He's always been a plus on special teams. Like, I just like having guys like that around.
No, without question. I mean, he's always been a special teams ace. He was all pro a couple years ago on special teams. He had that 1 year that he missed, and I thought the Colts felt that because he can do everything. He can, give you that substitution outside, inside at the wide receiver spot. He can play. He's a core special teams guy, covering kicks, covering punts. He had that big play week 1 last year against the Texans, and then we just never really heard much of him or from him the rest of the year on offense. But I've always been a huge Ashton Doolin fan. He was a free agent at the end of the season. I was really glad to see the Colts bring him back because he's just one of those glue guys on the team. He's been here since 2019, one of the longest tenured players on offense. He's just like a core guy. You want to have a guy like him on your team, leadership, stability, but just a jack of all trades, a versatility Swiss Army knife that gives you great value on special teams and on offense.
Last one from me, and I'll let you get out of here, Mayte, but I had a chance to obviously follow around Coach Rick Venturi the other day at practice, and it's become an annual piece that we do at The Athletic where we basically watch practice with Coach and let him go all out on the team, give his opinions, and share stories. From someone who only does that for maybe, once or twice a year, what is it like from your perspective to work with him on a regular basis and to see his love of the game never, ever, ever dissipate despite being in this almost, 50-plus years?
Yeah, Rick, I mean, he loves football, and that's putting it so mildly. He just eats, sleeps, and breathes watching tape, and he still attacks this job that he has with us with the Colts as an analyst. He still attacks it like he's a coach. He doesn't know how to do it any differently, and we wouldn't want him to do it any differently. So I learned so much about the game from him, and it's funny because, I played the game. Obviously didn't play it anywhere near the NFL level. I was a Division III guy, but I did play the game, right? I mean, it was 4-year guy at the D3 level, but so I have a really good understanding of everything that he's talking about, and I think that's why we get along so well, is that we see the game pretty much through the same prism, and it's just fun to have our little like inside jokes during the course of the game. We have our little things that just go back years where something will happen either positively or negatively during the game, and he and I will just look at each other either between a play or during a commercial break. We'll just give each other a look, and we know exactly what we're talking about based on, our excitement or our frustrations, like things we'd like to see changed or things, that are going well that we've been asking for a while, just stuff like that. It's fun to experience game day through him because of his, 40 plus years of NFL experience and covering all these training camps and, a mountain of research when it comes to scoring points in the red zone or how to get pressure on third down. He knows all of that stuff. And, again, he and I just kind of see the game the same way for most of the times. And it's just so fun to be with him and experience his frustrations. He's going to give you that dictionary, like we call it. He's got his inside words that he uses that only thing I think sometimes I understand just because I've been working with him for so long, like his little catchphrases. I pick up on those. So it's definitely fun to work with, such a guy that has such great respect for the game and what it takes to, put in the time and the work to be successful at it.
Kenny Yeboah. There you go. Mate, real quick before we go, your must-have road trip snack.
Oh man, shoot. I mean, I'm pretty easy on the road. Like I don't have to have, like on the plane, give me a bag of chips. That'll kind of get me to wherever we're going.
I had to separate. I had to separate these two over Skittles earlier today.
Well, let's just go there. Matt, are Skittles overrated, underrated, or properly rated?
Skittles are very overrated.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm not a big Skittle guy.
Oh my goodness! You know what, Mate? I take back everything. Everything I've ever said nice about you, I lie.
I guess if I do have one weakness, it's like a fruit snack, and that's the problem having two kids with an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. The fruit snacks are abound in my house. They're aplenty. And so I'm really susceptible to like the Welch's fruit snack. So I'll just, walk by the pantry, pick up a little of those. Yeah, that's definitely my weakness.
Doing your laundry,
I don't know.
You're finding little blue bags of gummy bears
That's
everywhere.
it, brother. That's it. So yeah, but I guess if I have to rank them, I would go fruit snacks, Starburst, like an Airhead, an occasional Airhead, and then like a Hershey bar.
Were you a Warhead guy back in the day?
Like I had like a 6th grade obsession with Warhead.
And
looking back on it, yeah,
we're
it's
trying
like
to
the
impress
worst.
girls at the neighborhood pool. Like, oh yeah, I can do the black cherry Warhead, and then
Two at a time.
Yeah. Watch me jump off the diving board afterwards. Just so stupid.
I remember going through I had a Warhead obsession and then the Gushers. You remember Gushers?
Yeah.
I forgot about Gushers.
Awesome.
Yeah. They were like in the same neighborhood there.
Good ad. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. All the best. Have a good weekend.
See you tomorrow.
Bet. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts. You hear him right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. But there's a nice couple of ads he had to our list there at the very end.
Well, I didn't need to hear anything more once he said Skittles are overrated.
You know what? I got a right and a left for both of y'all because we got to fight at this point. I can't be losing the argument and the fight.
Skittles is the Anthony Richardson.
You
got a couple hits in there, but you got a whole lot of misses.
Mark, can you imagine JB and Kevin just going at it in the break?
Honestly, I can't reach, so I think he's got me there. I'd have to take him to the ground or something.
Kevin's going to pull the bucket hat over James's eyes and try to get a haymaker.
James went bucket hat last night.
That's must-see Twitter right there, isn't it?
I was surprised.
You know why I did that, though? Because I was thinking if it rains or something like that, I want to be prepared. And every time I feel like I don't, I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. It's not fine. I've learned that through a couple of years of doing Colts camp, so I'm becoming a veteran at this point.
All right, let's check things down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
After the situational scrimmage last night, the Colts start to look ahead. They have a day off today before getting back together for 10 a.m. practices on both Saturday and Sunday. And then what does next week look like, James Boyd?
We have a joint practice against the Ravens on Tuesday, I believe, afternoon. And then we have Thursday night, a preseason opener against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
And 3 full padded practices right in a row, even though they had a day off in between one of them there. But what did we learn this week?
Well, I think the offense is in a much better spot than it was this time last week. And so, I guess you can look at that as positive or negative, however you want to view it. Defense, the corner injuries are starting to add up a little bit. Again, we didn't see Javarius Ward last night. James, I don't know if we're a ton of super rays yet, but we still have yet to see Zaire Franklin. And it is August. So,
yeah.
Again, it sounds like his return is rather soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. But, again, we have yet to see the starting linebacker duo together. That would be Jalen Carlisle and Zaire Franklin here in 2025.
And important because they're playing a brand new defense with a brand new DC.
Yeah, it sounds like Joe Bacci is bringing him along. And for those who aren't familiar, Joe Bacci played for Lou Anarumo in Cincinnati for a few years, and he was brought over, and they kind of were a package deal, so to speak. And so he told us after practice yesterday, Joe Bacci that is, that he's been talking to Zaire and kind of teaching him the defense. So hopefully when he is available to get out there, the health can kind of match the mental side of the game already.
Joe Bacci sounds like the name of a guy you can't remember his name, but he plays bocce.
Joe Bacci.
Who's that guy? Joe Bacci. I don't know.
That's how that goes. Real quick before we move on, if you had to pick one star from last night that stole the show, who would it be?
A.D. Mitchell. He was cooking hibachi. Anybody you lined up against that guy, he was making it look easy. And again, that is what is so enticing about him as a player, is because he has all the physical tools. And when he puts it together, now granted, they can't tackle, you can't really get hit, but all the finesse stuff I saw yesterday was part of why they drafted him, I believe, in the second round last year.
Who would your guy be?
Latu for me. I thought he was very disruptive, beating Brain Smith a couple times. Honorable mention, I'll go Will Mallory. 5th round pick out of Miami a couple years ago, number 86. Battled some injuries. Yes, he is from the Mallory, Indiana football family. I thought he had a good night. James, I thought the tight end position had a good night in general. Drew Ogletree was active. Tyler Warren, of course, had the highlight. So, yeah, I'll go there.
All right, moving on real quickly. We've got the Indiana Fever on the road tonight. They will take on the Dallas Wings this evening. And again, still no Caitlin Clark and still no timetable for her return, correct, James?
No timetable for her return, and obviously the schedule does not wait for anybody. So the Fever are trying to go for their 4th straight win. They're 3 games over 500 and playing really good basketball as of late. The Wings are 8-20, but they do have Paige Beckers, who is one of the biggest stars in the game.
7:15, the fan pregame show with Eddie Garrison, and then at 7:30 we'll have the radio broadcast for you here. With John and Bree right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I feel like they played the Dallas Wings like 6 times.
Yeah. it happens like that sometimes in every league where you see a team probably a little too often sometimes for liking.
All right, Major League Baseball, the trade deadline has come and gone. Some bigger names. And what would you say the biggest trade of the trade deadline season was, Mark?
Carlos Correa back to the Astros. That seemed to be the biggest name to go back to the team. Eugenio Suarez going to Seattle was pretty good. Cubs didn't add as much starting pitching as I would have liked, but they added some relief pitching and all that, and they also got a utility man in Willie Castro from the Twins, so that should be good there. Kind of funny that they got Taylor Rogers, who was acquired by the Reds from the Pirates, and then the Pirates gave him away to the Cubs.
It's what the Pirates do, though.
Just weird how that worked out.
Yeah. Last night, the Cincinnati Reds gave up 8 runs in the 8th to fall behind 11-3. Then scored 8 runs before recording an out in the bottom of the 8th, only to lose in 10, 12-11 to the Braves.
Are you going to abandon being a Reds fan? Are you going to abandon following this team?
Not as long as Ellie De La Cruz is doing his thing. He had a 2-run home run last night. Atlanta Braves play Cincinnati this afternoon. Also,
Mark, you can kiss my ass.
Yeah,
I waited till 9 a.m. to do that.
Cubs got a tough one this weekend. They open up this afternoon at Wrigley against the Baltimore Orioles, who are having quite the season.
Aren't they like 5 games under 500?
Being sarcastic. It's okay. I just want them to lose to
How dare you?
League.
How dare you? Give me that chocolate and see yourself out.
All right, that's how that goes. Anything else you guys want to throw in before the weekend comes here?
Very interested to see how the Terry McLaurin thing plays out. I mean, we've got a August trade request from a player that has pretty much checked every box in his professional career on and off the field. It's a team that I think a lot of people feel like last year was not a fluke for Jaden Daniels and company. He also is a 30-year-old wideout, and that's not a 28-year-old running back, but 30-year-old wideouts, oh boy, you don't find a ton of production after that age. So how all of that plays out, and I do think there's a little bit of, okay, when the Colts get into this situation potentially next year with Michael Pittman Jr., how will that play itself out? So I am curious, not only locally but nationally, how that goes.
How about a 317 area code popping up in D.C. for possibly Terry McLaurin's services?
I'd be stunned.
I would love to see it, though.
No, I think Chris Ballard views Alec Pierce and A.D. Mitchell of, again, I don't even know if they would pay Michael Pittman Jr. coming up. Not to act like Pittman Jr. is Terry McLaurin, but yeah.
I will say that dude is balling. He has been balling. Now, I get the age factor and all that, but I don't blame him one bit for saying, give me a raise. What he's done over his career, especially over the last couple of seasons, has been outstanding. Last year, 13 touchdowns, 1,000 yards. He's asking for a raise. He deserves it.
What if you trade Michael Pittman for Terry McLaurin?
Why would Washington do that?
I'm just asking. I'm just throwing it out there.
Get him off the books.
I mean, you added some draft compensation, obviously, but
yeah, hey, kick the tires, see what's out there, Mark.
Just
I'm
throwing
kind
it
of
out
with you
there.
on that, but to Kevin's point, it feels like the Colts are pretty set on what they have at wide receiver.
All right. Also, one more thing. Fox Corporation acquired a 1/3 stake in Penske Entertainment. And, of course, they own the IndyCar Series, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They did it for an estimated $125 to $135 million. The deal also includes a multi-year extension of IndyCar's media rights with Fox Sports. What are the long-term implications for that? It's just good for the sport, first and foremost, isn't it, Kevin?
Yeah, first off, I think it's very unique. I don't think you see this at all in professional sports, or I guess whatever you want to call IndyCar, in that, a huge TV, sport TV channel and streaming service. Is there going to be some Drive to Survive component that will come onto that as Fox starts to dip their toes into that? And, I think we've always had questions. Where will it air and what will be the marketing of it? And even before this, we saw the marketing through the roof. And, I remember talking to Ed Carpenter, just blown away by what Fox was doing for them prior to this deal. So I think it's huge. I think it creates IndyCar having a seat at the table. What does this mean? Earlier start to the year? Do you get out of the full NFL window, or do you try and get in on the NFL a little bit? And by that, I mean, is this a, hey, 425 window, let's have an IndyCar night race? Yeah, you'd be going opposite Sunday Night Football, but do you get that NFL crowd of a 7:30 green flag that watch the 425 game, something along those lines? So very interested to see what the possibilities are with this, but I think it attacks kind of an area where IndyCar arguably is weakest, in that they just need promotional marketing and obviously have a consistent spot somewhere from a TV viewing standpoint. So
I also feel like
checks a lot of boxes.
It fills a programming void, especially in the spring for Fox Sports. Really gives them something to anchor into as they come out of football season and get ready to go into the summer. So.
No, I would agree with that. So yeah, it's all 120, 130 million was a report there. So very, very interesting. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Liberty Media with F1, but it's not like Liberty Media is the product that you air it on. I don't. This is unlike anything you see in sports. Sure, a lot of people are like, well, pretty much Fox is with the Big Ten, and yes, SEC's with the ESPN. Yeah, but they literally don't have stake, literally 30% of the league. So that is obviously something that is pretty unique.
All right. Coming up in a moment, we'll talk a little bit more about the National Football League, specifically the Colts and the AFC South, as we continue on the Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark Dykton getting you ready for the weekend to come here, Mark. You guys, you're going to ditch the kids and go to the fair yourselves today, right?
I think we're getting some, going to enjoy ourselves, I think, while the kids are in school. One of the
making
perks.
out on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
Yep, you know it. With some cotton candy beer and like some pickled pizza. Yeah. Come over here. Give me a smooch.
Wipe that elephant ear off your cheek.
Uh-huh.
Hey, no, I love me some elephant ear. There's nothing wrong with that.
They had
I didn't even know what that was.
I was
until,
really
like,
hoping you
last
were going to
year.
say I love some making out on the Ferris wheel.
That's why I can't go to State Fair. I've been banned. No, they had funnel cake yesterday with Butterfinger crushed on top of it. You big Butterfinger fan or no?
Yeah, can you imagine sitting
Oh,
in
he's a
on these
Butterfinger guy, not a Skittles
Can
guy.
you imagine sitting in on these meetings to discuss this?
Mhm.
It's like, all right, we're going to fast for 24 hours, and then all of you come in here, and we'll discuss the craziest food options you could ever imagine.
Yeah, they're like, here you go. This has cookie batter in it. It's a cold brew. What? Who came up with this?
Yeah.
Great weather to start the fair in terms of temperature. So, yeah, State Fair is open. Jake will be out there, right? Noon to 3 today at the Dairy Bar?
Key lime milkshake, by the way, excellent from the Dairy Barn. Excellent.
Gosh, what didn't he have
We need to
yesterday?
have a show from the State
Telling
Fair
you.
1 year.
We
I need
did.
this.
Jake and I did one show from right in front of the Dairy Bar. And Mark, do you remember this? That was when they had some horrific storm.
Yes, I do
and
remember
we
that.
had to sprint into, gosh, I forget the official name of that building there. But yeah, that was
It might be the Harvest Pavilion. It's probably that or the Dairy.
Yeah.
That was where it all was yesterday.
boy, that was a bleep show.
Yeah, that was a fun broadcast.
Yeah.
I think Jake had a Snuggie on probably. He's like, oh, skies look a little
Shout
scary
out to
out
the
there.
Snuggies.
That's two references to a Snuggie on the
Well,
show
because
this morning.
in the dying days of Kevin and Query, Jake donned the Snuggie at Colts camp, and I think we were kind of like, yeah, the show's cooked at this point. It's time to put a fork in this thing.
Is August a good sports month?
I think so for me.
Yeah, he's starting to get ready for
I
everything.
tend to think it has some of the least consequential sporting events of the entire year.
Yeah, but
Like you get a day or two of college football,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
you get NFL preseason. I guess Major League Baseball's got, some big-ish regular season games, but even like your one-offs, like you don't get an Indy 500, you don't get any majors in golf, you don't get, obviously you're not into real
but
football yet.
Didn't they
I
used
feel
to have
like-
the PGA in August before they moved
PGA,
it?
yeah, it used to be in August. They moved that to May.
I
You're
feel
saying
like
August is the worst sports month?
It
Of?
feels
Eh.
like the least big sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
that's fair. But personally, I feel like all is solved once college football is back.
Yeah.
So the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
anticipation, the
Right.
build up,
There's light at the end
I'm
of the
like,
tunnel.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm good. If I didn't have that, if you were telling me they were going to kick off the season in September like the NFL, I'd be like, oh man, like this is going to be a rough month.
Now, did you sickos watch last night? And be honest, Jeff and Mark.
I did not. I actually did watch the pregame with like Mike Tirico and Roger Goodell and Jim Harbaugh running out talking about how great it is to have real football back. But I actually didn't watch a single play of the game, which was kind of funny. I was like, it was on my radar, and then I just never went back to it.
The only thing I saw briefly was their first use of the automated first down line on the field, where the football is put down there, and they put up a graphic on the scoreboard, and the line runs across it. And it's interesting because the Lions made the first down to gain by like a foot, but I think they just wanted to test it out and look and see what it would look like, because it was the closest really they got last night.
So is there a delay in the game at all with that, or is
It
just...
didn't seem like it was a huge delay.
Yeah.
It just kind of
I saw
think of the U.S. Open in tennis when they show you the ball hitting the line.
the Hawkeye or whatever.
It's exactly like that, only it's a
Got it.
football.
I saw someone tweeted at me that Grant Stewart, Colts linebacker from the previous years,
Incredible story.
unbelievable story. One of my favorite interviews we've ever had on the show. The Monday after his career game against the Dolphins, someone said he returned the opening kickoff, which almost had me a little disappointed that I did not DVR the Hall of Fame game to watch Grant Stewart and those flowing locks returning the opening kickoff last night. And Trey Lance looked good at football.
Yeah. He looked pretty good. They actually crushed the Lions from what I believe. The score was, 30-something to 7, I think, if you're keeping track at home. But
Are the Chargers good?
I feel like their baseline is always going to be pretty good because of their coach. Like, I don't know if they're a title contender.
Not because of Justin Herbert?
Yeah, that's a big reason why. Now, I don't want to discredit that. You got to have a quarterback in there. But I think Harbaugh has proven that he can win everywhere he goes.
Boy, what a quarterback room. Justin Herbert, Trey Lance, and shout out to DJ Uyunglele. Remember the Clemson kid?
He's an NFL player now? Wow.
Didn't he transfer to Oregon
I
State
missed
or
that.
something?
He transferred twice, didn't he?
Boy, he had a huge game against Notre Dame as a freshman.
I just know
think
they
when
were very
Lawrence had
disappointed in how
COVID.
he turned out at Clemson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think,
He was supposed to be like,
Right,
heir
he did
apparent to Trevor Lawrence and those guys.
live up to the hype. So, a week from today, this is what we'll be breaking down. Preseason game number 1 in Baltimore, Colts-Ravens. That is Thursday night next week.
You guys name the NFL Hall of Famer inductees this year? They gone under the. I feel like they've gone under the radar this year of who actually is in there.
I do know that Antonio Gates, I believe,
Gates
just got
obviously
in.
would have been a Charger. Who was the Lion? Was it Calvin Johnson?
Yes, unless
a
it was last
no-brainer.
year.
I remember I thought Vinatieri should have been one, and he wasn't. I think they put in some corner. They put in some DB that had been on the ballot for years.
I don't think a Lion went in, if I'm mistaken.
Oh, really? I thought they usually tried to.
Hall of Fame class of 2025, it says it was Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp, Jared Allen, and Eric Allen.
Yeah.
Well, and Eric Allen was more of a Jet than a.
Right.
Eric
There
Allen
was no
was
Lion.
terrific.
There was Gates as a Charger, but there's no Lion unless he was in like the.
Don't they usually try to
Veterans
do the
Committee.
Hall of Fame game based off like
Usually.
inductees? I think the year the Colts played in it, I think that was Marvin. Was it Marvin and Tony in the same class?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 4. That's it.
Huh.
Short list. All right. Coming up in a moment, we'll get ready to go for the weekend. And one final thought or two on the Colts situational scrimmage last night. What to look for this weekend. Straight ahead, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Sorry, it was all the food talk this morning, Mark. I was reliving some of my exploits in Paris this past week or 2 weeks ago.
You just said you saw someone of some ilk at in Paris.
No, it was crazy. I took this picture of it because I was just randomly walking down one of the big shopping boulevards there, and there was a secondhand store, and in the window of the secondhand store there was a Von Miller jersey of all things. Just
I thought you saw
there.
actual Von Miller there.
No, Von Miller
I was gonna
himself
say, it's a little
was not
hard.
there.
You've got to be training
It was
camp, right?
bizarre. Yeah. But then I was showing off to Kevin. You were talking about all the food you just ate yesterday at the State Fair. I was going to this little cafe, roadside cafe. I walked in there, had the best apricot flan. I don't think I've ever had apricot flan before, but I had to try it. It was good.
Should I know what flan is? It sounds like a bird.
You know flan?
No.
You've never had flan?
No.
Mark,
Should
you
I?
know flan?
No, I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
It's like a custard kind of dessert.
I've had it because, I'm a man of standards.
Right. And taste and discernment. Yeah.
Mark and I are more in the State Fair group.
Yeah.
You guys are in a little bit more of a bougie.
I saw pickles on pizza.
I
Yes,
have class, me, uppity James Boyd, but I have had it. I'm not a huge fan of it. It has a weird texture to it, in my opinion. But hey,
Yeah.
I mean, if you probably try anything eating wise at least one time. Like if someone tells me, hey, this is what this place is known for, and I'm usually more willing to try things that I don't like again if I'm like in the place or country or state where it's very famous, because people always tell me, well, you had it in Indiana, it might not be, what it was supposed to be. Like, for example, if you're eating gumbo in Indiana and you didn't like it like that, but if you go to New Orleans and eat gumbo, you might, think differently.
Yeah, you can get flan in most Mexican restaurants around here, I would think. Just try it sometime. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. My mother-in-law makes it for me specially every Thanksgiving.
So, pivoting back to the Colts for a moment, Kevin, I got a kick out of this last night, and it's not a big deal, but asking Nick Cross about his contract situation, you would have thought I asked this man for a social security number or, what's your deepest, darkest secret, because the way he kind of like just clammed up and shut down everything, I was like, man, I understand. You might not want to talk about it, which is fine, but he literally told me, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything. I'm just playing football. I'm like, dang. Okay, well, that to me means no extension for you. Obviously going into a pretty pivotal year of your career.
Yeah.
Not that I expected that to happen, but I just thought that was funny.
That is kind of, I don't know. It's not like, that's kind of how Nick Cross is wired.
Yeah. He looked at me like I was
but
crazy, and I'm like,
he
dang.
wasn't. Now, I'd be stunned if the Colts had even thought. I mean, Nick Cross had a nice year last year.
Yeah, but it was 1 year.
You got to do more than that.
Yeah.
So, him and Cam Bynum right now at safety. I mean, they've been out there every day because that safety depth. A guy that was just thumping people last night, and he's done this really all camp, is Hunter Wooler, 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin. It's kind of rare for me to sit anytime on a August 1st date and say, boy, the 7th-round pick is going to make the team. Hunter Wooler is going to make the team. He's probably the 3rd, maybe 4th safety. And boy, he brings the hammer. There's some physicality to his game that he definitely toes the line in practice of probably starting some stuff. And he definitely made some plays and has made some plays in camp. So, again, 7th-round picks, usually when you get to that round of the draft, a lot of those guys probably would prefer to go undrafted. Let me pick the best depth chart spot out there for myself. Hunter Wooler walked into a great depth chart spot, a.k.a. there's no depth at safety. So Bynum and Cross, they are very important guys to stay healthy because it does drop off. But again, Hunter Wooler, leading tackler at Wisconsin each of the last 2 years. He's at a nice camp.
I think the Colts it seemed to me on draft day, they were pretty excited to get him in the 7th round, it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of like, wait, Chris Ballard, are you just saying that because you went to Wisconsin? But no, he definitely has a resume.
Yeah, he strikes me as a Ballard guy.
Yeah, and they need to kind of retool some of the special teams guys. We mentioned Grant Stewart earlier, and again, for those that were not at Grand Park last night, good kicking night. All right, 5 of 6, that's fine. Spencer Schrader definitely outkicked Maddox Trujillo, the undrafted kid from Temple, missed several kicks.
Didn't
last
the one
night.
miss for Schrader hit the upright?
Right
too?
upright, yeah. But Trujillo missed a couple left. I think one right there. So I would say you easily have a lead in the kicker battle.
How do you feel about special teams overall right now?
I have questions about the kicker just because as much as we talk about what does and doesn't matter with quarterback play, in the preseason and in training camp, I feel similarly about kicker. When that pressure's really on you and you got to make a 52-yarder to tie the game, win the game, can you do it? And that, to me, was why they got rid of Matt Gay. Part of it was his salary. I mean, you can't get paid that much money and miss as many kicks from distance as he did. I believe during his, 2 years, Kevin, with the team? He might have been like 11 of 22 on 50-plus yard field goals, which isn't high enough to be getting paid what he was getting paid. And at the time, I think when he signed with the Colts, it was, I believe, the biggest free agent deal for a kicker in NFL history. So they move on from him. But keep in mind, Matt Gay did not miss any kick inside of 50 last year.
So Matt Gay's the Commanders kicker?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I think that's his job. And, I mean, it's not a bad option for them. But I just think that when you're comparing him to Spencer Strader, obviously Matt Gay has a lot more kicks in that leg and kind of proven himself in the NFL despite the struggles last year. And Spencer Strader has not. He's 5 for 5 in his NFL career, but obviously 5 for 5 is a very small sample size. And again, not only has he not made a 50-yard field goal in the NFL, he hasn't attempted one. So that will be interesting to see come regular season.
Sounds a little different than McAfee and Vinatieri.
Yes, I would agree wholeheartedly with that. One more time, that Tyler Warren catch from last night. When that ball came out of Daniel Jones' hands, I literally said to myself, that is an overthrow, and thought that might be picked. And honestly, I haven't had too many of those thoughts with Jones or Richardson. They have stayed away from the turnover throws a lot here in week 2. And Jalen Carlisle's linebacker had beautiful blanket coverage on Tyler Warren. And Warren, like, when Warren jumped for the ball, he looked like the kid that's been on the diving board for an hour and is now just trying random stupid stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow, there goes his left hand up in the air. And next thing you know, he, like, stops the ball. And I'm like, oh, wow. Well, at least that ball won't be intercepted. Never did I think he would have the body control to pretty much bat it to himself, get the right hand on it, catch the ball. And yeah, James, you mentioned this earlier, the rolled up jersey, I think had me thinking Austin to Jakey, but I think you're right. I think it was Cameron Grown, is in the background of the video and just hands on the head immediately. Like, did this dude just do that?
Yeah. Did this dude just did this? I think that was you earlier from John Stark?
Yes, from the one and only John Stark. So Tyler Warren and catching the football, not many tight ends look like that catching it.
They have lacked that in recent years. We've talked about it ad nauseum. He is going to be a big piece of this offense, and he will make life easier, I think, on the quarterbacks because, as you've seen, at least throughout camp, especially throughout his college career, if you just give him a chance and put it in the vicinity, there's a good chance he'll make you right, as he told us on the show the other day. So, great play, and like I said, a hilarious play to me because once he makes it, he gets right back up, and he shakes hands with Quentin Nelson as if he just caught a simple, like, wheel route. It's typical Tyler Warren, hard hat, lunch pail, all the cliches. But how he plays is not cliche. That dude can really play. And like I said, it was I was next to Rick Venturi, and I'm hearing him say, bleep, bleep, bleep. That guy can play.
So let me ask you guys this, too. Very early, and we haven't even seen him play against another team or even practice against another team yet. But where are we at on the new defense with Lou Anarumo?
I like what I've seen so far. There's some variety there, of course. A bit more aggression, I think, at times than what we saw from Gus Bradley. The question is, I think as of late, the last couple of days, Kevin, is the injuries have kind of piled up with the secondary. So a little bit depleted there. What does that mean for when you go up against the Ravens? But I do like the steps that they've made, not only from a personnel standpoint to give Lou Anarumo some talent, but the variety that he's provided on the back end in particular.
Kevin? Your thoughts on early on defense and Lou Anarumo so far?
Yeah, I thought the first week was much better than week 2 here. I mean, as James points out, personnel-wise, if you want to, and it's important, I think, every training camp practice to provide context, you were missing your best player on the D-line last night, DeForest Buckner, a foot injury. You were missing your best linebacker, Zaire Franklin, continuing to rehab that ankle surgery. And then your best corner, rest day for Travaris Ward, and 3 of your top 5 corners. So, there were some big fireworks, big-time fireworks, real throws, real catches, all of that from Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, and the pass catchers last night. But I think you have to point out, too, the defense was dealing with quite a few notable guys out. But they're going to get a great test. I mean, Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love as a joint practice combo is a pretty good test for you. So I know the preseason schedule, the joint practices, you aren't really sure how those will play out. Baltimore and Green Bay, though, I mean, if we're ranking the top, 10 teams in the NFL right now, I'd say probably both those fall on that list.
They're pretty good.
So I think that'll be a good evaluation for this team coming up.
All right, real quickly, Mark, your weekend starts with the State Fair and your wife today, right?
Should be, yeah. Going to do some IST prep.
How many people go to the State Fair on back-to-back days? You have to be in the small minority of them.
I don't know. Probably employees or
bet
something.
more than you think. Just for the food, right?
I'm hosting Indiana Sports Talk tonight.
So anybody that's been to the State Fair on back-to-back days.
Come join me tonight on Indiana Sports Talk, by the way.
All right.
Week before Bob Lovell returns, so I'm trying to not sink the ship.
All right.
You got this, Mark.
You guys will be back at practice this weekend, right?
Yes, sir. Saturday and Sunday.
10 a.m. start time.
All right. Jake Query live from the State Fair. Say hi to him when you go there today, Mark. He'll be there from noon to 3. And then JMB does his theme from 3 to 6 after spending his show out at Colts Camp yesterday. Enjoy it all here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.